talkSPORT Sports Update powered by the Nissan Van Range. Commercial vehicles built around your business. Search Nissan Vans or head to your local Nissan Van Centre.
With your headlines at 1 minute past 10, I'm Nick Ellaby. Good morning. Graham Souness has told talkSPORT Liverpool fans should be backing Arne Slot following those explosive comments from Mo Salah.
He doesn't deserve to be in the team. And the fact that he can actually stay and be quoted as saying he doesn't have to turn up every day and train properly because of what he's done in the past for that football club, it beggars belief in my book.
After Liverpool's draw at Leeds, Salah claimed the club have thrown him under the bus by dropping him. Liverpool got to Inter in the Champions League live on talkSPORT tomorrow night. Here's our chief football correspondent, Alex Crook.
It wouldn't shock me at all if Salah not only doesn't travel to the San Siro, but is also left out of the weekend's upcoming Premier League game against Brighton.
Now, a woman who tried to extort money from Son Heung-min has been given 4 years in prison in South Korea. She claimed she was pregnant with Son's child. A male accomplice got 2 years. Following another limp Ashes defeat, former England batter Mark Butcher suggests Josh Tongue could play in Adelaide next week.
But he is somebody that just takes wickets for fun, and you ally that with other bowlers doing their jobs better, and he could be very dangerous. But there isn't a massive amount that England can do to switch things up.
There's more on talkSPORT's Cricket YouTube channel and the following on podcast feed. And Kevin Sinfield's told us he'll be involved in raising money for motor neurone disease for life. So how's he feeling after completing 7 ultramarathons in 7 days?
I'm glowing. We've had a great week. The team have been outstanding and the support has been awesome, especially from you guys, so thank you.
Kevin's raised £1.15 million, which he says will help families and hopefully find a cure for MND. There's more at talksport.com.
talkSPORT News.
Reform UK denies breaking electoral law in Nigel Farage's Clacton constituency, and Zelensky heads to Downing Street as Donald Trump claims he ignored US peace proposals. Emma has more in half an hour.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. Today it's raining tyres in our centres, including top-notch brands like Pirelli. Visit your local centre or quickfit.com and book today.
Wet across northern Scotland and southern England. Meanwhile, warnings for rain across southwest England and Wales kick in from 6 p.m. Cloudy elsewhere, turning increasingly mild from tonight.
So, we are almost ready to go. Ian Danter here in the commentary box. But it is all about whether Dean Saunders can retain the talkSPORT World Championship. To win the leg. She's got it! Gets it! Double 9! He refuses the handshake.
Hello, very good morning to you. You're listening to Sam Matterface, Simon Jordan and Martin Keown, and we're live on talkSPORT this morning on a weekend where Liverpool are clawed back twice by Leeds United. What does more damage to Arne Slot? Another wayward result or the post-match comments from Mo Salah? Meanwhile, is a title challenge beyond Aston Villa? And who was your man of the match in the game between Aston Villa and Arsenal at the weekend? Also today, are England heading for an Ashes whitewash? Has Britain got a new F1 hero in Lando Norris? Will Sepp Blatter be the talk of the town once again when he claims the moral high ground? Has Infantino got a real problem? And as far as debuts go, could it have gone much worse for Wilfried Nancy at Celtic? You're listening to Sam Matterface, Simon Jordan and Martin Keown, and we're live on talkSPORT.
100% engagement. Jim White and Simon Jordan on talkSPORT.
And a very big welcome to Martin Keown. Good to see you. Try not to offend talkSPORT royalty today. We know you've got a bit of a habit of doing that.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Oh, you've not seen the tweets, have you?
Prince William.
Yeah, we'll come back to it a little bit later on. talkSPORT royalty in the shape of Simon Jordan, who is also here today. And you went to the Palace.
I did.
At the weekend.
Oh, well, I went to Fulham, absolutely, Fulham Palace Road. Yeah, good game. Palace played well.
It was the first time that you've been back since leaving as owner.
Correct.
Not back, but
first time I've seen him live. Yeah, took my little boy. It was his first ever game.
You enjoy it?
Fabulous. Yeah, he enjoyed the whole experience. Fulham were lovely.
Some great goals.
Yeah, I mean, a hell of a goal from Harry Wilson.
That's unbelievable.
And a great goal from Eddie Nketiah.
Yeah.
You know, I was just saying to someone in the stand, I don't fancy Nketiah. Wallop, goal.
And the header from Gay was pretty powerful, wasn't it?
Yeah. I think Fulham should have defended it better. He'll have a better view on that. But notwithstanding that, it was a good game. Nice game.
Palace into the top 4. Incredible.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you look at, they took off their 2 strikers in the last 15, 20 minutes. What's that? Thinking behind that, we're saving it for the European game at the end of the week. And they did a job. Yeah. They did a job. They look good and solid. They're a better side than Fulham right now.
He's a clever man as well, isn't he, Oliver Glasser?
He's a top manager. He's a top manager. You know, if they don't do something to keep him, which seems difficult to be able to achieve, given they've not really backed him.
Their away record has been amazing, hasn't it?
They're a unit, aren't they? They're a good team, even when they've got a lot of players out and they weren't at full strength yesterday. They look like a good side and solid side. And Fulham huffed and puffed and had a lot of possession, but didn't create those many opportunities. Emile Smith-Rowe, I don't know, is he an enigma? Is he ever going to arrive again?
That's the problem with Fulham, is they have a lot of the ball. And they do play actually quite well, but they don't create enough chances, do they? They don't score enough goals, which is a bit of an issue. We will talk about Fulham, and we'll probably talk about Crystal Palace a little bit later on as well. But no doubt where we're going to start this morning, and it's not the award of Martin Ødegaard as the man of the match on Saturday's game between Aston Villa and Arsenal. We're talking about Liverpool, Arne Slot and Mo Salah. Liverpool dropped points again in the 3-3 draw with Leeds. They dropped points from winning positions again. They've only won 1 point from a losing position all season. What does that say about their mentality? They conceded 23 goals, their worst at this stage of the season since 1964-65. And post-match, Mo Salah accused Liverpool of throwing him under a bus and said that his relationship with Arne Slot, the manager of the football club, was non-existent.
I'm sitting on the bench for 90 minutes. I think that's the third time I'm in the bench. I think it's my first time in my career, but I'm very disappointed. I'm very, very disappointed, to be fair. I have done so much for this club. Everybody can see that during the years, and especially last season. Sitting on the bench, I don't know why. Seems like the club is throwing me under the bus. That's how I feel it. I think that it's very clear that someone wants me to get all the blame. The club promised me in the summer for a lot of promises and nothing. So far, I'm in the bench 3 games, so I can't say that they keep the promise. And I said that many times before. I had a good relationship with the manager, and out of the sudden, we don't have any relationship. I don't know why. It seems to me, how I see it, it's someone doesn't want me in the club. It's not acceptable for me, to be fair. Like, I don't know why that's happening always to me. Like, I don't get it. I think if I'm somewhere else, every club will protect his player. I don't know why I'm in that situation now. But again, it's how I see it now is like, it's like you throw Mo under the bus because he's a problem in the team now. But I don't think I'm the problem. I have done so much for this club to get the respect I want to get. And I don't have to go every day fighting for my position because I earn it. People will say, you're not bigger than... I'm not bigger than anyone. I earn my position. This is football. Yeah. In football, you never know, but I don't accept the situation, to be fair. Again, I've done so much for this club.
That was Mo Salah in the mix zone afterwards. We don't often hear from Mo Salah, but he certainly had something to say on Saturday. Simon Jordan and Martin Keown are here. Is Salah right? Is he being scapegoated more than most for Liverpool's struggles? Or is this an entitled player thinking he's bigger than the club? Simon?
I think it's a negotiation. I think it's a very simple situation that something's gone on behind the scenes. Both myself and Martin have been involved in football clubs. Martin as a player, me as an owner. I've seen things behind the scenes. There's something that's gone on behind the scenes that no one's been privy to. And he's negotiating with the club now. The best thing Liverpool can do is get rid while there's still some money attached to him. Because ultimately, it's similar to the Ronaldo situation where we engineered an outcome. But the Ronaldo tribute act that passed as a player that turned up at Man United is not the same as Salah. There's still some economic value in Salah. So if I'm Liverpool, I'm looking at it as going, OK, we are where we are. Let's sell him. And let's get some money from him. If the Saudis want him, let's get some money from him now. Whatever's gone on isn't likely to be healed. Whatever you think of the ideas of what Salah has said, and we all know that a lot of it's nonsense and confected, it is the modern-day footballer. It is not what other journalists have said. I was listening to certain journalists on the Sunday supplement like Jonathan Liu saying it shows how weak Liverpool are. It doesn't show how weak Liverpool are at all. When Mbappe had a turn at PSG, did it show how weak Nasser Khelafi was? When Ronaldo had his turn, when big players and big reputations decide that this is not for them, this is what the modern-day footballer does. You might not like it. You might not appreciate it. You can drive buses through most of the things he said there. You look at the idea when he brings Harry Kane into the conversation. Harry Kane got slaughtered when he wasn't playing well. Slaughtered. got people demanding he got taken out of the team, the England team last year. So it's nonsense when he says, well, it's Harry Kane. I don't know what point he's trying to make there, whether there's an ethnicity argument he thinks is advancing or a bias towards him. I don't know what his point is. But he's been a wonderful player for Liverpool, and I think it's now run its course. And for whatever reason, Liverpool gave him a 2-year contract last year because the backdrop was you had to. And now you've got a player that doesn't want to be there, so get rid.
Yeah. It should never be just about you when you're playing in a team game. And I think sometimes with the strikers, you can overindulge players and then they can let you down. Because I think all of the club, all the fans will be disappointed with this. Look, this guy, he scored 250 goals, 450 appearances. He's been there 8 years. By and large, he's been a really good plus for the football club. And he's got along with other managers. Maybe this manager, there's a breakdown of communication.
Has he always got along with other managers?
Well, I think there's been a little bit of a tit-a-tat with Klopp. There was a little bit once when Klopp took him out but then he put him back. He gave him an opportunity. On this occasion, I think he feels. I mean, maybe the journey of the game...
Is this just not a player, though, sensing that there's a little bit of weakness in the management here and that he's lost a few matches and he feels like he might be in a weak position and he's trying to push the boat out a little bit?
No, I think it's an emotional outcry from the player. He's not sitting there thinking we're 2 up, right, OK, this looks like it's my fault because they're winning, because they suddenly lose, and does he think, oh, the manager now is in a weak position? I don't think he's thinking that through. I think he's just done... I mean, look, there was a media frenzy around him. They were loving it, weren't they? The information he was giving them. But he was wrong in so many ways in what he's done. And I think he'll be disappointed when he looks back on it. He may well feel now that he wants to go take the riches of Saudi Arabia. He was promised... he's sitting on the bench expecting to come on to win that game at 3-2, and he doesn't come on, and he's hurt, he's wounded, and he should have walked away. And now he's going to have to repair the damage. The club should insist on an apology. And the manager now... Really, I mean, if he's really in charge, he's got to be given that licence to manage this football club and discipline the player.
That's the big question, isn't it? What happens next? Is the manager now in a position where he has to be strong and take action against a senior player, or does he have to row back and caress the ego?
To what end? To what end?
The end is either you sell him or you re-ingratiate him.
But it's simple. You sell him. It's simple. You're going to turn the wheel. He's going to go at any point in the near future, whether it's in January or the summer. He's gone. Right. So what you're doing is you're treading water with this player. You can dissect the idea that he's talking about himself. You can debate whether it was an emotive response that wasn't rehearsed, because he didn't. It's off the top of his head to have rehearsed to say this is just an emotional response on the basis of that he's going without thinking about what he's saying. He thought about what he was saying.
You thought that was pre-planned?
Well, I think he had a view that he was going to say these sort of things because ultimately he's taken everybody with him. He's left nobody a prisoner. Everybody's there. So he's left nobody free of any sort of any sort of observation. So I think it's very simple. Because it's Mo Salah, the noise will be that, Liverpool can't afford him. They're going to regenerate without him anyway at some point. So you've now got a player doing what players do, which is, in any other walk of life, if you've got a contract and you fall out with your bosses, you go and negotiate, right? In football, you negotiate in the public domain because you create divisions that make sure that situations manifest themselves as outcomes.
But he's doing something that players rarely do. And do you think he's playing a political game here where he sees that Slot maybe is on rocky ground?
No.
And he's like, OK, you make a call.
It's not my
read of it. You make a call because I'm going to make it untenable between me and the manager. I'm going to make it...
It's not my read of it. It's not my read of it. Because there's an economic value still left in Mo Salah, and Liverpool know that this player is just on the cusp of potentially being less worth something, and he is not going to be the player that will demand and command the sort of returns. What would you rather have? Would you rather have Trent Alexander-Arnold running around telling everyone how much he loves the football club and engineering a free transfer, or somebody coming out going, not happy here, don't like this?
This time last year, we were about to pay 150 million for him.
And they probably still will be.
Well, will they?
Maybe not that much money, but they
might pay 75 million quid for him.
33 years of age. It's a depreciating commodity.
Yeah, no, but he has a great value in that area of the world. It'd be a brilliant statement for them to take Mo Salah to the Saudi Pro League.
Yeah, but it's posturing, isn't it, in the dressing room for a slot for the manager who's on, who you could say is on rocky ground.
So what does he do next? Does he take him to Inter Milan?
Well, look, there's going to have to be a level of communication. There's going to have to be some sort of apology.
Do you think that he's played his last game for the club?
Well, it looks, for me, I think it looks increasingly like that, because how do you repair the damage? He's going to be out of the country till the middle of January. We get to the transfer window. Probably there's going to be more slating matches. When you go to play for your international team, they're asking you all the time about your club. Unless he's going to apologise, I don't see there's a way back for him.
What would you do next?
Sell him.
Just outright
Yeah.
Highest bidder, off you go.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's.
Would you play him again in between time?
Depends if I felt that the team was better off with him in it. At the end of the day, you've got to try and win football matches. And are Liverpool better with Salah in the team or worse? At this moment in time, the argument is debatable because they're not winning with him and they're not winning without him.
03717 2233 44. That's the number to call if you want to have your say this morning. There's loads of people already trying to get in touch with us and we want to hear from you. What would you do next if you were Arne Slot? And what will come first? Mo Salah leaving the club or Arne Slot leaving the club? What happens next? 03717 2233 44. That's the number to call. If you want to get in touch, you can WhatsApp us as well. You can text us 81089. It's Sam Matterface, Simon Jordan and Martin Keown. And we're live on talkSPORT with Selco Builders Warehouse. Check out this month's real deals at selcobw.com.
So, we are almost ready to go. Ian Danter here in the commentary box. But it is all about whether Dean Saunders can retain the talkSPORT World Championship. To win the leg. She's got it! Gets it! Double nine! He refuses the handshake.
Mo Salah has arrived for training today at Kirkby. They play into Milan, Liverpool tomorrow night, live on talkSPORT. They'll do their open training session ahead of the Champions League today, around about midday, and then they will go and fly to Milan a little bit later on today, where the press conferences will take place, where I imagine there'll be a few more questions about Mo Salah to Arne Slot. Loads of messages coming in. Chris is a Liverpool fan. Regarding Salah, I'm so upset at his comments. He has a lot of assists for the club, yes, but he, as a sideline motivator, he is non-existent, never encourages the team, doesn't really celebrate goals if he's on the bench. Time to leave. Slots has to prepare for when Salah goes, as Salah was going to go at least the following season, so it makes sense to prepare for life without Salah. Even Klopp had time to mould his team when he first came in. The only difference is Slot is coming in after Klopp and a Liverpool team winning trophies where Klopp didn't have to come in to that. Steve Gainsborough says, be professional, Mo. This is a team game. Salah is right. Look at how the team is playing. It's all down to poor management by Slot, putting new players straight into the team, expecting them to pick it up straight away, paying a stupid amount of money for Isaac. Slot has been found out and should go, says Mike in Wales. Stephen is a Liverpool fan. You're through to talkSPORT. What do you want to say?
Hello, Sam, Simon and Martin. Thank you for taking my call.
Good morning.
Good morning. Do you know what? I'll be honest with you. There's nothing wrong with an ego, right? We've all got them. But Mo Salah, I'm sorry. I'm glad to hear your words there a few moments ago, Sam, saying he hasn't turned up at training or not invited to training. Mo, it's time to go. You're an absolute disgrace. I get the fact over Jota and all that, and God bless him and his brother. But Mo Salah, you only have to look at the television and see the gob on you. Imagine these new players come into our club, the club that we all love, and you, with your ego, you think you're better than everybody else. Imagine the effect it's having on them, Sam. Can you imagine it? I'm not nowhere near in the league of managing a football club, but I've managed people. And if you've got somebody, a he or a she, who's got an ego, as soon as they walk in the room, the temperature drops. There's an elephant in the room. And I'm glad. Liverpool Football Club, please back Arne Slot. I'm not sure that Arne Slot can turn this around, but what Liverpool Football Club must do is back Arne Slot.
Stephen, did you not, over the course of the last few years, when he was winning games for you in the last minute, when he was creating goals, did you not applaud the guy with the ego who took it on his shoulders to win you matches?
100%, Sam. That was his job. That was what he paid to do. What he's not paid to do is disrupt this magnificent football club of ours, or any football club. It could be a football club in Birkenhead Park, and you could be doing your job. As soon as you come in with an ego and you're setting a precedent as an atmosphere, I'm sorry, you're gone. And I'm glad. Please, Liverpool Football Club, back Arne Slot.
Steve, thank you very much. Appreciate your call. Love hearing from you this morning. We had so many people calling us. We're going to rattle through a few more. Rob, a Liverpool fan in Lincoln, is joining us now. Hi, Rob.
Yeah, morning, gents. How are we doing?
Yeah, good. What do you want to say?
Right. I just want to echo what the previous callers just said. I think at a time when the club needs to be pulling together and making sure we're pulling down the storm hatches, he steps out on his own and comes out with something like that. To be honest, I'm completely disgusted is probably a strong word, but I am. I couldn't believe what I was reading yesterday. And he says that he loves the club and he loves the fans and this, that and the other, but he's risking his legacy with those individuals because this behaviour is not befitting of somebody that we feel is somebody that leads that team. He needs to have a look at himself as well. We are going to need to move on. He goes to the Africa Cup of Nations. His form has dropped off like a cliff since he signed his new contract. He scored 45 goals before he signed his new contract, which was averaging about 5 per month. He's done 7 since, which is averaging 1.4. And then he comes out and says this, trying to piece of politics to potentially get Arne out. I absolutely agree. We need to stick with Arne. Maybe he's the right person, maybe he's not, but we have to give him time. And Salah's behaviour just says to me that it's time for us to part ways. Let's get what we can from him. We signed him onto a new contract. There is some value there. Let's get rid and move on.
Thank you very much, Rob. Appreciate that. 03717223344. Simon, Stephen said Liverpool must back Slot. The implication there was if you don't do that, you undermine his authority in the dressing room. Is that why you would sell him?
I would sell him because clearly the player doesn't want to be there anymore. Whether it's at Arne Slot's that is the challenge. I mean, again, it's very easy for us to talk about what a player should and shouldn't do, and everybody would know that ever listens to this show that I would be relatively appalled by a player speaking in these terms. So it doesn't need to be doubled down on. But from my point of view, in a commercial world, I'm looking at someone that's having a negotiation about how they exit. I would imagine he's been egged on by the Saudis and pushed into that direction to say these sort of things. And of course you've got to keep order. Of course you've got to have a manager. You can't have the lunatics running the asylum. I mean, it's bad enough that people think they do in the first place, and players can, come and go and do as they please. There has to be some degree of order, otherwise everyone gets up and there'll be anarchy.
I think you could sense a disappointment in the voices of those two supporters.
They mustn't use ego as an excuse, because the best players, the best athletes, the best people in the world do have egos. There's nothing wrong with an ego. There's everything wrong with an ego that's out of control.
Yeah, you want to, in a professional sense, you want to say, right, I should be on that pitch.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you keep your mouth shut.
Yeah,
and you demonstrate a little bit of class, and no one is bigger than the club itself.
So what does that tell you about the dressing room? Is he speaking for other people in that dressing room? Is he an outlier? Is there no leadership in that dressing room that is pulling him into line? What would you be doing if you were in that dressing room?
This time last year, he was saying, wasn't he, that he hadn't even been offered a contract. So he is prone to the occasional outburst, but nothing to this level. I think there's a lack.
Suggested wasn't probably true either at the time. Then either.
Yeah, but maybe there's a lack of communication. Maybe now the manager may reflect. Maybe he's just been he's been pied a little bit. Salah's out there. Hold on a minute. I deserve better than that. But he needed to keep himself together. And the last thing you do is when the story's not been about you, is not make it about you. And that's what he's doing right now.
That's what he wants, Martin.
Yes.
He's engineering an outcome.
Because he's emotional.
We must also lose sight. He's also pragmatic in his thinking. He wants to negotiate with Liverpool to find an exit, is my reading of the situation. Let's not lose sight of the fact. And I'm always for criticising players when their behaviour isn't as at level I think it should be. He's been a generational great for Liverpool. He's achieved things for Liverpool that most Liverpool players could only dream of. He's been criticised this season for the very things that he's done in previous seasons, which is not worked very hard in the game, but in previous seasons he scored goals. And this season he hasn't. Danny Murphy made that point earlier on in the debate about Salah. But everything comes to an end, and whether we like it, this is now, if you give players the economic returns that footballers are now getting, you create islands. And these players are now independently wealthy of responsibility and accountability, and they can say these sort of things, and they do it left, right, and centre. Look at Ronaldo. Look what he did.
But is he reflecting the view of the dressing room?
No, I think
in all of this.
What do you think?
For himself.
Well, and what would you do if you were in that situation, Martin? Because you've been in a dressing room with big name players, Henry, Anelka, Bergkamp. If they'd been in this situation and walked into a mix zone and thrown the club under the bus, in a sense, what would you have done?
Well, they might well have done it because they just think things are falling apart behind the scenes.
If they'd done it, what would you have said?
Oh, so they're doing it for the well-being of everyone else?
I'm just saying maybe they've lost respect. When you've got respect for people in the building, you don't come out with this kind of outburst, do you? So obviously there's a total disconnect, there's a total disrespect, and it's things that you just do not say. Now, is Slot in charge or not? We're going to find out in the next few days, because he has to assert his authority within the dressing room. He can't have one player causing this sort of show, because it's a nightmare for the football club. They need to deal with it as quickly as possible.
I wonder what Liverpool fans think. Is there any Liverpool fans that actually agree with Mo Salah? 03717 223344. Simon Jordan is here, so is Martin Keown. We're here through to 1 o'clock this afternoon. This is talkSPORT.
Pardew says Liverpool must fine Mo Salah for his comments. We understand Arne Slot has the board's full backing. Salah claimed they have no relationship and someone wants him out. But Alan Pardew says Slot's done nothing wrong.
And the spotlight is on you because you're such a big player. So he understands that, and to take you out of the team is actually opening himself up for criticism.
More of that on talkSPORT's daily podcast, out now. Inter vs Liverpool is live on talkSPORT tomorrow night, and Salah might not even make the trip. Meanwhile, despite his failed move to Liverpool this summer, Ollie Glasner's praised Mark Gay's loyalty and professionalism. Gay headed Palace into 4th place last night with a winner at Fulham. West Ham's draw at the Amex was hard to take for Nuno Espirito Santo. Brighton's Jorginho Rutter accidentally handled the ball, but not before immediately his 91st minute equaliser. Now, over-prepared for what? Aussie journalist Malcolm Conn reacts to Brendan McCullum's comments following another Ashes humbling for England.
Look, I hope they do enjoy Australia. I mean, the cricket's probably getting in the way. But I don't know how they can be over-prepared when they've played the way they've played.
2 down with 3 to play, and there's a full inquest on the talkSPORT Cricket YouTube channel. And Kevin Sinfield's told us he's not been in better shape since he finished playing. He's raised £1.15 million for motor neuron disease charities by completing 7 ultramarathons in 7 days. There's more on that at talksport.com.
Flying through calls and text messages this morning. There's so much to get through as well. Sam, I'm not a Liverpool supporter, but why have Van Dijk and Konate not been dropped? They've been terrible, just as bad as Salah from Brian and Son. Well, the answer to that is they haven't got any other central defenders, I think. And even if Arne Slot wanted to drop them, he would be in a situation where he probably just couldn't. He does have more forward players, so I suppose that might be one of the reasons. Morning, boys. Salah simply doesn't like the fact that he's no longer the centre of attention. He's been the star for so long and doesn't like the new players coming in threatening his position, as the focus is no longer on him, says Brian. You'll never walk alone. Now he has to compete for his place, which he's taken for granted for a long time. Time to go back. Back Slot. The idiot saying Slot should be sacked and support. Go and support Manchester United. You're no better than them. Call yourself supporters, says Brian. That's on the text 03717223344. David, you're through to Martin Keown, Simon Jordan and me, Sam Matterface. What do you want to say?
Hello, yeah. I'm sort of with Mo Salah on this one. Now, it's a bit weird what he did come out and do with the interview and stuff like that, but Arne Slot is putting this club into the ground, and he has used Mo Salah as a scapegoat.
How?
Because you name a player in that squad that's playing well.
But why why specifically has he used Mo Salah as a scapegoat? By dropping him and adjusting the system to try and get the best out of the rest of the players?
Well, what people are failing to say is, yeah, fair enough. Put Salah on the bench for West Ham, got no problem with that, that's fine. But to not start Mo Salah for 3 games and to only bring him off the bench once, while you've got players like Cody Gakpo starting every single game. Now, as bad as Salah's been, he's been better than Cody Gakpo. He's been better than a number of players that are in that team.
Martin, do you think he's been scapegoated?
No, I don't think you can take it that way. You look at it, and I think the manager does play a part in this when he tried to sort of look for more creativity, talked about the second half of last season where they weren't quite getting the numbers and he wanted to change it, so he changed the structure of his midfield. They spent an awful lot of money on Wirtz. And then maybe the team was set up better before to allow for Salah maybe not defending in quite the same way. Maybe the team doesn't believe in the press in the same way, and Salah has looked like he's not given enough defensively, so he's had to come out. But there are other players that could quite easily have come out of the team. He has tried to do that, by the way. The right back it's an evolving door, the right back, the amount of players.
Mainly because of injury, though.
Yeah. And the left back, Kirkes has been in, he's been out. So, but the central defensive position,
there's the holes in the position with Slot, because there's 2 or 3 players that should have been taken out of that side.
It does look that way.
should have been taken out, and Gomez Pups pushed in.
They've got nothing else.
Robinson should have been put in for Kirkes. I mean, I know that they've been in and out together, but Robinson, has been sitting on the sidelines watching Kirkes flounder. So there is a point where you can see some of what Mo Salah is saying, but that doesn't necessarily mean that he merits being in the side. To say whataboutery isn't an argument to deal with the argument about Mo Salah.
Yeah, and the idea that they would have bought in Joe Gomez earlier is an absolutely true one, and Arne Slot has addressed that. He said he would have done, but he's been having injections in his knee, he's not been fully fit, and he hasn't been able to train on a regular basis.
On the bench, hasn't he?
Up until now, yeah, but he's only been able to play a bit part rather than the more involvement that he would have liked if he could have taken.
That's a recruitment issue. They should have got somebody in the door, shouldn't
they tried to get Gay and it didn't work, and that maybe have been a mistake. They got Leone, got an ACL injury in the game against Southampton, and the young teenager would have played a little bit more had he have been fit.
You're spending an awful lot of money at the top of the team.
Well, the Kirkes argument is valid, though, isn't it?
Absolutely, because he hasn't really settled in that position. Liam is a Liverpool fan. Hello.
Hello, mate.
What do you want to say, fella?
Not just obviously loads of fans are turning around saying like he's come out, he said all like the wrong things and stuff like that. But I've seen loads of fans saying that they want Van Dijk, Alisson, Salah to come and speak to the cameras. The only thing I disagree with is that he's earned his place in the team. Like, you've got to fight daily for that place in the team. Everything else he said, I think he's within his rights to say. To be fair, you've got the likes of Gakpo, who's doing absolutely nothing week in, week out. He got ragged the other day, he was against PSV at half-time for Salah, and yet he starts the game after. He's offering nothing on the other wing, but he's not being replaced, is he?
Yeah, but Liam, you can't talk against the club in this manner, can you? I know you do your talking on the pitch.
No, I do agree with that, like, and I think he should just knuckle down and get on with it, but, like, obviously there is clearly a relationship has been broken, hasn't it? Like, if I'm hearing things that, like, Van Dijk and that are siding with him, how true that is, I don't know, but obviously...
Liam, thank you very much. Appreciate that. I wonder if Phil thinks that Mo Salah was right to say that Liverpool had thrown him under a bus. What do you think, Phil? It sounded like Phil had fallen under a bus there for a second. I hope he's okay. We'll go to Shaz instead. Hello.
Hi, morning, guys. How are you doing? You all right?
Yeah, very good, thank you. What do you want to say?
Well, I agree with the previous caller before that. It's absolutely spot on. He shouldn't have said the stuff about I deserve my place in the team and stuff. But with that Cody Gakpo stuff, he doesn't work. He hasn't tracked back and stuff. He plays in, week out, and I think he feels that he's been scapegoated, that he's the only one who's there. Like you said, there's a few other players who shouldn't be playing as well at the same time. But why is it only Mo Salah that's getting dropped for 3 games? Cody Gakpo, he hasn't tracked back. He hasn't done. He does the same stuff on the other side. You could have changed him over from the other side, but it's only Mo Salah who's been dropped for 3 games on the trot.
So, Shaz, what's the solution then?
Solution? I wish I knew. I'd be a manager if I knew.
Well, what would you do? What would you do now? What's the answer?
He's got to apologise. I mean, the outburst is wrong. That's totally wrong. Nobody's bigger than the club. I've been supporting the club for 40 years. There's nobody's bigger than the club. I understand his frustration, his emotions, and I still personally think I don't think he's outing for a move. I don't think he wants to leave. I personally don't think he wants to leave the club. So he's got to apologise. There's got to be communication between him and the manager and stuff, because he did say that it was before the communication, and they had a relationship between him and the manager before. So I'm sure there's nothing that can't be mended. It's just that he's wrong for coming on and making it public. He shouldn't have said that. Absolutely, he shouldn't have said that.
He did say about that relationship, and he said we had a good relationship before, but we don't have a very good relationship now. And he also said it feels as if there's people inside the club. It seems to me, how I see it, that someone doesn't want me in the club. You think it's a negotiation? Do you think he should be made to apologise?
To what end?
Well, Shaz seems to think that he needs to do that for disrespecting the club.
And that's Shaz's view, obviously. What's he apologising for? Does he not believe what he said then? Does he not hold the value of what he said? I mean, obviously, we don't think it's. We think a lot of the things he's saying there are self-serving and not accurate. Like I made the point when he goes on to talk about the idea that Jamie Carragher will come for him, and that the media, when Harry Kane plays 10 games doesn't score a goal, which I don't think we've seen, he was
probably referring to Tottenham, wasn't he, at the time, rather than
England. First of all, again, I don't know if there was 10 games in a row where Harry Kane didn't score, and Tottenham are on a different level of attainment than Liverpool are. So I think it's a misrepresentation to try and make a point, and it would be interesting to see someone pull him up on it, because when Harry Kane doesn't play very well, people do demand he doesn't play.
But isn't there a code of conduct? Isn't there like, I think, a right and proper thing to do? Of course, we admire what you do as a pitch on the. I mean, obviously, you come back into the dressing room today, you want an explanation, don't you? You're in that dressing room saying, "Hold on, a fella, what were you thinking?" Because this isn't beneficial to the group, is it? Certainly not beneficial to the manager.
Well, this is when you see how strong the group is, because ultimately, it can't. It surely in society and life, it can't all be about when things are going well, we're all together, and when things aren't, we're not. And everyone was together last year. Liverpool won the Premier League. Everyone was together. They've improved their playing squad, changed the way they're playing a little bit.
It's often the players not in the team that are the problem for you.
Yeah.
It's how you communicate it. Is that job doesn't just stop with it.
But are these comments so explosive that it puts everybody into a very tricky position now? It puts Salah into a tricky position because his future is unclear. It puts Slot into a position because it feels as if his authority has been undermined. And it looks as if the sporting directors are in a bad position because they have now got to deal with a situation where they've got to somehow try and craft a team out of a fractured dressing room.
I think the only way forward, really, for a quick solution is for an apology from the player, and then we can start to build.
Or a quick sale.
I don't see that's going to happen. I don't really feel that's what the player wants deep down. He loves this football club, but he's been.
Is that what it sounded like on
Saturday? What he said is very misplaced. It's emotion taking over. You should never really talk. The cameras in that situation after a game. You're sitting on the bench. Who's been asked to do an interview after they've not played?
Come on, he didn't. He wasn't asked.
He wasn't asked.
He walked straight into
it. That's when you're concerned about, is this a political move, and does he just? He's absolutely.
If you try to censor him and told him that he can't speak to the press, you'd have even more problems. The fact of the matter is that you've been in a situation where you've seen circumstances like this, and you've seen players that operate in a certain way. It's not difficult to work out about fractures in dressing rooms and how managers and players do and don't achieve outcomes for themselves. It's very simple. Mo Salah has made his position very clear. He can't row back from these. What's he going to row back from? That he hasn't been thrown under a bus. That he doesn't feel that people don't want him to leave the football club. That he is a player that should be picked irrespective of merit. How does he row back from those things?
Well, he tries to. I mean, the manager.
An apology. But my point, actually, I lost my train of thinking. An apology is for the optics of the media. But inside the dressing room, inside the environment, the damage has been done. You don't apologise for that.
No, it's the optics of the media why we're discussing it today. So that has to be repaired.
Sure, but the creation of it behind the scenes to achieve an outcome, everyone will know that the apology is for the media. It's not for what the player really thinks. So what do you do now then? What happens in the real world?
Let's see how sincere he can be. Let's see what he wants to do.
Well, hold on. You've been into
will he be sincere in an apology?
You walked into a dressing room, and I think I'm right in saying, I read it in your book, you walked into an Everton dressing room that were doing very, very well, and you found it very difficult because there was new players and old players, and it didn't quite gel.
Yeah.
Are we in that situation here with Liverpool?
Well, that's something to consider, because the group look around the room and they think some of these new signings are not at our level, and they start to question. And then you've got the man at the helm, his position becomes tricky. And then there's not the same welcoming. What you really want is like for those players to look at themselves and say, okay, are we really integrating the new players in the right way that we should be? Are we giving them every opportunity? Not one player really has settled well. Not one can say they're good signings.
What was saying last week, I mean, what some of the callers were saying after the West Ham game, well, you won the West Ham game. So you build from a winning team. But most people say if you've got a winning team, you keep with it. So Salah wouldn't have reasonably expected to be back in the side after beating West Ham. Well, the fact of the matter is that the manager has the authority and he'll be backed.
They lost the 3 games before they dropped him. The 3 games afterwards, a win and 2 draws. Yeah. So even if your metrics are skewed by the fact that who you are playing, they did have an improvement in results after he changed the system.
But the opposition will come into play and people will forget the fact that Sunderland are flying, give everybody a hard game.
They also played PSV at home.
Yeah.
In the game that they lost.
Yeah,
4-1.
And they'll say Sunderland are a promoted side, Leeds are a promoted side. These are games that, I mean, Jamie said that if he doesn't get 7 points out of these 3 games, he should effectively be looking for his coat.
But isn't Salah...
Well, he hasn't, he's got 5.
If this is about Salah, he's sitting there against Leeds thinking that I should be coming on the pitch. I can win this game for us, but I can't do an awful lot from the bench.
Well, they did win the game. They won the game twice.
No, the last one,
threw it away.
the game at the weekend.
Yeah, they did. They won the game twice and then threw it away. So it's an offensive issue.
But he would have thought, well, why am I not the answer?
They scored enough goals to win the game.
Just 3 months ago, I was the best player in the world, and now you don't want to use me. Do you know? But you've got to keep a lid on that. And he's out of order because he spoke after the match.
03717223344. Going to ask Simon this question in the next section of the programme. If you can't sell him in January, what do you do then?
So, we are almost ready to go. Ian Danter here in the commentary box. But it is all about whether Dean Saunders can retain the talkSPORT World Championship. To win the leg. She's got it! Gets it! Double nine! He refuses the handshake.
Hello, this is talkSPORT. It's Sam Matterface alongside Simon Jordan and Martin Keown today. Jim will be back tomorrow morning from 10 o'clock with Selco Builders Warehouse. Check out this month's real deals at selcobw.com. So, your solution to the Salah problem was to sell him.
Yeah.
If you can't sell him in January, what do you do?
You can sell him and you can negotiate with him. There's always a solution to a problem, and you might not get precisely what you want, but if the greater scheme of things details that the outcome needs to be achieved, you'll find a solution.
Is the market definitely there?
Yes, I think so. I mean, what they might be able to get for him against what they're paying for him wage-wise, against what they might be able to demand as a transfer fee, or all the economics of grown-up conversations when it comes offline, doesn't get played out in the media.
So your immediate issue, though, is to get him to apologise, no? Because you need... Obviously, there are games that he can play. He's into Milan.
He's got two games before he goes to the AFCON. And he suggested that might be his last game.
It depends what I'm creating,
Brighton.
Martin. If I'm concerned, honestly concerned, legitimately concerned that ultimately my football club is being diminished by this player's comments, and I'm actually worried about the optics of what the media thinks, then I'll drag him in there, find his backside, and if he won't apologise, I'll keep on finding him. But the real issue is, do I think the apology fixes the fissures in the dressing room? Of course I don't.
He's an all-time great, isn't he? Yes, this is a massive own goal.
Yeah, for him. But for Liverpool, Salah's exit was always going to come at some point. It's about how you create that. And you don't want this really, but at the end of the day, the bigger problem is not Salah, it's what's happening on the field.
Let's get to some Liverpool callers. We'll rattle through quite a few between now and 11 o'clock. Let's start with Johnny. Go for it, Johnny.
Yeah, hi. I've been a Liverpool fan since '65, and I love the club to death. But I think in Salah's situation, he's clearly not a squad player and has got the ethos of team sport in his blood. I think he was he benefited from Trent up his backside, giving him lovely passes over the top, etc., etc. I think, there's new players come in, Slot's trying to get a balance, but you could see his reactions when Klopp took him off or didn't play him to start with. He was very grumpy, didn't like it. His form has been indifferent since we won the league in sort of March time. He hasn't showed up in big cup finals. I'm not sure the statistics. I'm sure you guys will be able to tell me what they are, but he hasn't exactly lit up Champions League, Carabao Cup finals, FA Cup finals. So big stages, Mo hasn't performed for Liverpool. Liverpool are going to be there long after Mo's gone and retired. And I think it's a really poor effort. And I think Simon would possibly agree, in a business sense, if your senior salesperson and his sales figures weren't very good and felt under pressure and started slagging off his bosses and the board, he wouldn't be in his job very long. So I'm afraid Mo's had its day, and Slot and the board of Liverpool have got to put their foot under the table and say, sorry, lad, you're out of order. So,
Johnny,
I don't know what you think.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much. It isn't the first time that he's fallen out with managers. He said on the 27th of April 2024, after a row with Jurgen Klopp on the touchline during a 2-2 draw, if I speak, there will be fire. Let's go to Andrew, who's a Liverpool fan. Hello.
Hello.
Hello, Andrew. What do you want to say?
Hello. Yeah, I'm just... people have said that they're disappointed in what he said or different things. I'm way more than disappointed. I'm really, really angry. Really angry with how he's dealt with this and how he's done this.
Why? Do you feel disrespected? Do you feel the club's been disrespected? Do you feel that he's not playing his role as a senior player?
I think he's let himself down. I think he's let his teammates down, the club down, and the fans massively. He, even if he thought he had some valid points, even if he thought, and I expect that he would be upset for being put on the bench. Any player who's worth his salt should be upset that they're not playing. This is absolutely not the way that you deal with it. He has to go in and speak to them. He speaks to his captain. He goes and speaks to the manager. He speaks to Richard Hughes, whoever. He does not do this. I agree with Wayne Rooney. He's done the opposite. He's thrown the club under the bus.
Andrew, thank you very much. Let's go to Dan, who's a Leeds fan. Go for it.
Hi, morning, guys. Thanks for waiting for my call. I've listened to a lot of guys there. I mean, there's some interesting points, but the bigger picture is where you got to look at this now. Yes, the club's in an embarrassing situation. One, it shouldn't have come out on social media and say it. It shouldn't have done it on Sky Sports News, wherever. Now, when you watch that game today, it's a passionate club. They've got great players and a good following. And what they've won over the last few years is absolutely sublime. Nobody can question that. Now, you've got to look at that player. Earlier this morning, a caller came on and he said there's 3 people who've played that for that club. Keegan, it were Steven Gerrard and Mo Salah. They've scored goals like you won't believe. And he was sat on that bench yesterday and pictures.
Yeah, we seem to have lost Dan there, the Leeds fan. We'll keep your calls coming, 03717223344. We'll finish up with Darren, who's a Liverpool fan in Belfast. Do we have to be a little bit careful, Darren? We want our sports stars to give us a little line here and there. We want them to speak to the media, and then as soon as they do and they say something explosive, we make a massive deal of it. Is that the right way of behaving?
Look, you know what I mean? Regardless of whether he gets on with Slot, that's not really the issue. He has to be professional in terms of, doing his job that he's paid to do. And at the end of the day, he may be one of the best players, and I, love him to bits. But the issue basically here is that he has to take responsibility for his own behaviour. He's got thousands and millions of fans, young fans, who are watching him, see that, and then you're going to have every young player growing up making excuses and blaming everyone else. At the end of the day, if he wants to prove anyone wrong, he needs to go out there, train his ass off, work hard, and get back in the team. At the end of the day, he's been dropped for a reason. Basically, and therefore he has to be an adult and take responsibility for his own behaviour.
Simon, do you agree with Darren that he's a role model to younger players?
I agree in an ideal world, but Ronaldo was a role model, and we had to listen to Ronaldo's load of old tosh with Piers Morgan engineering an outcome. This is a commercial negotiation between Liverpool and Salah. Whether he should behave better because young kids are watching him is a different debate. Personally, I think role models should be people's parents, not necessarily footballers. You want to look at him as a footballer, admire what you can't not admire what Salah does.
But it's not befitting, though, is it, of a Liverpool legend? I mean, just talking there in terms of Keegan and Steven Gerrard and all these greats before wouldn't have behaved perhaps Keegan left the football club.
Sure, he did. Went to Hamburg,
a different age.
And Keegan can say things. And Keegan would, I think, if we had social media and the society we have now, when Keegan was leaving Liverpool, I think he might have
he threw his toys out the cot to this extent.
But we've created a whole different raft of footballers now. We've created a whole different culture. People don't want to deal with adversity. They want to be telling you what they think they should be getting out of an outcome. We've made them so important. We've lionised them when they don't deserve it. We've paid them huge amounts of money. We've made them economically independent.
Overindulged. You're saying he's overindulged.
I think in the end, yeah. But that's the nature of the animal. But the fact of the matter is that my own view of this, and it may well prove to be wrong in the longer game, but I don't think it is. Something's gone on behind the scenes. It doesn't excuse the conduct. He is utilising this now to create an absolute break in the circumstances. So there's no doubt in my mind Mo Salah will be leaving Liverpool, and we're going to make a song and dance about it because good copy. But Liverpool will go on and be a big football club, and Salah will still be in the history books as scoring 250 goals.
Great hour of radio with Simon Jordan and Martin Keown, and you. Thank you very much for your calls. 03717223344. We'll move the debate on to Arsenal and Aston Villa. They beat Arsenal at the weekend. Does that mean they're in a title race?
There are many sporting rivalries that can boast years of history, ferocious tensions and iconic tussles that ignite the fans to their very core. But when it comes to the battle of the mind games and the verbal exchanges in the heat of battles down the decades, the Ashes stands alone. So here are some of the most memorable Ashes housery moments. Few figures in Ashes history were despised by the opposition more than Douglas Jardine. He was the granite-jawed architect of the notorious 1932 Bodyline series, which sent shockwaves through the sport that still reverberate nearly a century later. One day, the hurricane met the tornado as Jardine met Yabba. As the name suggests, Yabba, real name Stephen Harold Gascoigne, was a heckler who became so famous that a statue was made of him. When Jardine was on the boundary swatting away some flies, Yabba yelled the immortal line, "Jardine, leave our flies alone. They're the only friends you've got here." Like Jardine before him, Stuart Broad is another figure who had a particular gift for riling the Aussie public, mainly due to his jaw-dropping survival at Trent Bridge in 2013, when he very visibly nicked off to slip and refused to walk. Broad is somewhat the modern housery king. He officially became a sorcerer in 2023 when his random bail swaps twice bought a wicket with the next ball at the Oval. 3 tests earlier, after that Carey Bairstow run-out, Broad made sure he was right in the thick of the pantomime. Wicketkeeper Ian Healy issued one of the great lines towards Nasser Hussain. When Steve Waugh told Ricky Ponting to field right under Hussain's nose, Healy remarked, "That could be anywhere within a 3-mile radius." Poor Nass. But perhaps the most poetic of sledges came from bowler of lightning bolts Dennis Lillee, about the Yorkshireman of Yorkshiremen, Geoffrey Boycott, about whom Lillee wrote this: "He's the only fellow I've met who fell in love with himself at a young age and has remained faithful ever since." Priceless.
So, we are almost ready to go. Ian Danter here in the commentary box. It is all about whether Dean Saunders can retain the talkSPORT World Championship. To win the leg. She's got it!
Hello, this is talkSPORT. It's Sam Matterface alongside Simon Jordan and Martin Keown. I just got a brilliant text message which says, "Wow, you're going to actually talk about Villa." Martin didn't want to do that during his commentary on Saturday. That did give me a little bit of a...
You've being biased again, Mr.
No, not at all. No, it's interesting.
No. We'll get into it.
We are in the commentary business.
We are in the commentary business, and we'll talk about that in around about 15 minutes' time. But let's talk a little bit first of all about the mechanics of the title race, because Unai Emery was pretty clear in the build-up to the game. He went into his programme notes and he said that he didn't like the headlines suggesting that they would be in a title race. It wasn't true. But after they beat Arsenal on Saturday, the gap between them and the top team is just 3 points. So they have to be in one, don't they?
We are feeling better, feeling stronger, feeling confidence. The players there as well, increasing their level. We are setting our standard high. We are our level setting high in everything, and try to be fluently playing like we did today. And then we are not going to think about if we are contender to be in this season in the Premier League.
But
with the
people are going to
possibility
talk about it, aren't they?
No, but not myself, no. And with my message with the player is not, we are going to try to enjoy each moment.
Why does he not want to talk about it, Martin?
Well, I mean, you couldn't get the answer from him. I think he doesn't want to create too much attraction around. Just to put it on record, actually, because obviously I'm have an affinity with both Arsenal and Villa, because I played for both of those clubs.
Some people thought you forgot that on Saturday.
Well, maybe did. Maybe it's like Sir Paul Scholes had forgotten that I actually played nearly 100.
Some people thought you'd forgotten.
No, not at all. Not at all. I actually feel you know how professional you have to be in that job, and I'm actually working quite hard to make sure the balance was actually there. Maybe around the man of the match is up for debate, but nonetheless, I think that the job that Unai Emery's done there is quite remarkable. Now, let's go back to the start of the season. Which club was actually affected more than financial fair play than any other club? It would have been Aston Villa. And it seemed at the start of the season it had gone a little bit stale. Maybe 4 or 5 games in without scoring. It took them 5th game. So what he's turned around and really kept that club together with that core group of players that he's got is quite remarkable. That's 9 victories now consecutively. Villa Park is a fortress. I said all of those things because I wanted to be balanced in what I was saying, because I applaud what Unai Emery has done. You could say he was very unlucky to lose his job at Arsenal. He was 18 months in the job. And what he's gone to do has been quite magnificent.
Do you think that's motivated him? Do you think that because of the fact that he was sacked by Arsenal, he's almost put a lot of energy into these games? If you go back to the game where Ollie Watkins scored twice in April 2024, it basically derailed their title bid. It beat them in 2023 and in 2025 as well. He knocked them out of the Europa League semi-finals in 2021. He seems to raise his game when it comes to Arsenal, doesn't he?
I think it can help him as extra motivation, because that would have been hurt. He took a backward step in his management, having come from PSG. So everything was going very well in his career. He's won all those trophies in Europe. You know, he's got an incredible record for the Europa League trophy. That would have hurt him. And he gets probably a real joy out of, and a little bit of a nemesis for Arteta and for Arsenal. But Arsenal have beat them. I think they beat them last year in this corresponding fixture. So it's not all one-way traffic. But I think what we have to say that Villa, yes, they are in the title race.
You do think they are?
I do. And I think this has much to do with their manager. And I think he's trying to get the team to buy into that. He's trying to get them to believe that they can be champions. At the start of the season, it had gone stale. You have to say this manager, because he couldn't really change it. He couldn't make any changes to the team. Sancho hasn't really featured. Harvey Elliott doesn't even play. So the boys that he brought in on loan is pretty well the core group, and he's somehow put them into a title challenge.
Title challenges?
No. I think they're certainly challenging for a position in the top 4. I think the reasons why he doesn't get in those conversations is because I think he's a considered, sensible man that doesn't need to deal in hyperbole. Let other people do that for him. He will deal with the here and now of his team. He probably didn't deal with the backdrop of people in the media speculating about the disaster that was coming Aston Villa's way with their poor start to the season, when they weren't scoring goals and they couldn't get results, and every game was a 0-0 or 1-0 loss.
Well, that might have been on the back of the fact that he was moaning about the fact they didn't get the transfers that they wanted.
Well, moaning or making an observation or being forced into a conversation where...
Well, either way, it was real.
Well, if a journalist asks him a question, are you happy with the transfer market and did you get the kind of things you want? And he says, no, I'm not particularly happy about it, but doesn't make a full-act play about it like other managers do. There's nothing wrong with that. There's a balance between being disrespectful to your board.
He's just protecting the group, though, because what are we now? 15 games in. They've only lost 3 matches. If you look at the number of games that Man City
just out of curiosity, I mean, it doesn't suit our end game, but what is the benefit for anybody if he comes out and says, we are in the title race after 15 games?
It makes people try that a little bit harder.
Well, that's his job in the dressing room. He doesn't need to do that in the media, does he?
No, but there is something.
Do you guys read the newspapers and be able to determine whether your manager's any good?
But when Arsenal have been top of the table, if you look at it, the away games that they've had in this sort of tricky period, okay, so they've gone to Chelsea, and if Chelsea,
we're not talking about Arsenal.
Well, we are, because they played Aston Villa at the weekend.
We're talking about Villa at the moment.
Yeah, we are, but we're talking about who's going to be title contenders. So we're talking about the teams around them. So we must talk about Arsenal.
We really want to know if Aston Villa are going to be title contenders.
Well, they are.
Turn the conversation back
because
to Arsenal.
they're only 3 points behind.
Are they going to win the league?
I don't see that they'll win it, but
So
they're definitely contenders, and they proved that at the weekend.
They're going to be a competitive side, and in the same way that I think Chelsea are going to be a competitive side. If we don't think they're going to win the league, the idea of talking about as contenders is just a moot conversation.
Well, I think if you
the
beat
team that wins the league, the team that wins the league.
Pretty well the best team in Europe the last 2 years have been PSG, and if you can beat PSG at home as they did in the Champions League, then you believe firmly that you can beat anybody, and you can definitely win this Premier League.
But ultimately, individual games don't tell the outcomes of a season, do they? And we can all talk about Hollywood moments. The fact is that PSG not dealt with Villa in the Champions League. So the bottom line is, over the 2 legs, they did their job. And Villa caught them at one particular moment where they got them running around and got them losing their minds. But PSG went on to win the Champions League. So I take your point, but it's not the... It's not,
they had a chance in the last minute.
So by definition, do you think Chelsea can win the league? because they beat PSG in the World Cup.
Yeah, well, they've fallen away though, haven't they? So they didn't. They had an opportunity,
but I think the big question is what kind of manager is Emery? And I watched him on Saturday. I think he's a brilliant manager. I think he's a brilliant communicator. I think he's brilliant with his players. I think you've got a top draw manager. I think ultimately that's why Newcastle went for him when they had a new project, and they've landed on another top draw manager in Eddie Howe, but they went for Emery first. But do I think they've got up until recently they'd scored 16 goals in 13 games. They've now scored in the last 2 games. They've scored 6 goals in the last 2 games, and Ollie Watkins has come to the party. But that doesn't look like a side to me that's going to be able to have the firepower or the capability to win a league. But what they are is a very competitive side.
They're growing, aren't they? And the manager seems to be driving.
It'd be interesting to see what happens in January, because last year in January they invested heavily in loan players and tried to get a lot of people in the door to try and have that push to get into the Champions League. And ultimately, they fell short because of a poor performance on the final day of the season against Manchester United. Had they won that game, even if they'd drawn that game, they would have been in the Champions League.
Well, that's why I think you have to.
So will they do that again?
No, but
should they do it?
It's commendable what they've done, because they miss out on the Champions League, and there's a down on that, isn't it? And at the start of the season, I think I did the Bologna game where they were like 5 or 6 games into the season where they hadn't even won, and they managed to limp over the line in that game, and it wasn't completely perfect. And I think it's all coming from the manager, that he's getting them to buy into this and to believe, but he's not ready to say that they're champions. But they can be champions. But behind the scenes, he's got to be saying, "Come on, guys, we can do more."
And he probably is. Of course, he's saying that, because otherwise, what would be the purpose of a manager? He's not going to turn around and say you're doing well, keep it at that level. He's going to say push on and keep going.
They've been in the Champions League, haven't they? They've been in the mix.
But our debate is whether he should be saying it in the media, and I see no benefit in being a hostage to fortune. He rocks out and says, "I think we can win the league." We will slaughter him.
This time last year, Chelsea, the manager was saying, "No, we're not champions," and it derailed.
That's equally as bad. Say nothing. Say nothing. Let everyone else say it. Don't say anything yourself.
The best quote actually I ever heard on it was Ange Postecoglou, when he just went, when someone asked him, actually I asked him whether or not they could win the title, and he said, "Well, there's nothing in the rules to say that we can't."
Yeah.
And then just left it at that. And that was it, and he wouldn't go any
like people
further.
on the show that do self-congratulation about who asked questions of other managers.
No, it wasn't self-congratulation. It actually applauded for Ange Postecoglou.
Okay.
It was.
But just a name check for yourself in the middle of it. Yeah.
I just remember that I asked him. That was all. Halfway through. Here's a question for you: 18 games unbeaten, yet the lead at the top has been cut to 2 points. After that huge run that Arsenal put together, does it feel a little bit underwhelming?
No, I mean, it's very nice that we can talk about Arsenal finally, because it's been almost 18 weeks since I've been able to talk. I keep putting my hand in the air every Monday and say, can we do Arsenal? No, they won again. But now we'll talk about them because they lost. I think it was the first time I watched it and I thought, okay, we're kind of missing these 2 central defenders now, because, and then Mascara was also unavailable for selection. The long ball coming out, Arsenal weren't quite dealing with that. They couldn't smother them, Aston Villa, in the same way. But all credit to Aston Villa. But, I think from an Arsenal point of view, you've got 2 away games in a batch of 3 matches where we've got no European games and it's all about the Premier League. 2 of them are away from home, and 2 of them against Chelsea, who can get within 3 points.
Are you blaming the schedule?
I'm saying it's quite a tough schedule, and you really want your best players. You want your best players available at that point. But Arsenal nearly did it. They only lost in the 95th minute.
I thought it was a brilliant game.
It was a fantastic game, end to end.
Terrific football match, and any team could have won it, but Aston Villa did. This is from Stuart. He says, "I can't believe Martin Keown is trying to claim he gave a balanced view on Saturday. He may as well have gone down the tunnel at half-time and asked if he could sit on their bench for the second 45. The silence from him when Buendia smashed in the winner said it all. His beloved Arsenal outplayed and outfought, but hey, at least he could still give one of their players the
Can I explain the silence?
Hold on.
We were waiting for VAR to do all their necessary checks.
Listen, just wait.
You know how it works.
I do know how it works, and I was just about to say, is there anything wrong with partisan commentary and punditry? We'll talk about it next.
So we are almost ready to go. Ian Danter here in the commentary box. It is all about whether Dean Saunders can retain the talkSPORT World Championship. To win the leg. She's got it! Gets it! Double nine! He refuses the handshake.
Hello, good morning. This is Sam Matterface, and I've got Martin Keown and Simon Jordan in the studio this morning. Now, what should punditry be? What should pundits aim for? Neutrality? Cheerleading? Bit of bias here and there? Show their colours? Well, Paul Scholes was listening to Martin Keown on TNT at the weekend. He said it's like listening to Paddy Crerand on MUTV. The future King of England wasn't happy either. Prince William even messaged on X saying, surely Emi Buendia should have been man of the match. An incredible game up the Villa. And he also sort of referred to the fact that Martin had given man of the match to Martin Ødegaard. And there was also a message from a talkSPORT pundit unhappy with Keown's behaviour.
Good morning, gentlemen. Just a quick one from me, your favourite Brummie, Gabby Agbon Lahore. This is from all the Villa fans, me included. Martin Keown, the most biased commentary I've ever heard watching a football match. Please, do not forget, you had 112 appearances for Aston Villa, but you were just fully backing Arsenal all game. It was like listening to Arsenal TV and listening to an Arsenal fan commentate. Don't forget your roots, Martin. Good lad. See you later, guys. Have a good show.
Do you know, actually, Gabby, you didn't do your research because I actually played 135 games, was virtually ever present. And I did sweat blood for Villa and for Arsenal. And there probably wouldn't have been anyone better to have done that role. But what I will say, you cannot, you know how.
There would have been no one better.
Look, I thought I'm going to blame Ali McCoist. You're going to blame British Airways because Ali McCoist was late coming to the commentary box. So
well, I think we should give a little bit of context. You weren't supposed to be the co-commentator, were you? And TNT had actually put together a good panel of Arsenal and Aston Villa representatives.
Yeah, and of course we're more than capable to fill in. It's not an impossible.
You had to fill in because Ali's plane was late.
Yeah, but what I would say, look, whenever I listen to former players closely associated, obviously with those clubs, maybe Gary Neville, I wrestle with the thought that this sounds really biased, and I don't think you can change that perception. You can't look. People are going to say that I've got that Arsenal hat on. People know me, associate me with the successes at Arsenal, not necessarily the Villa fans. Paul Scholes probably wasn't even born when I was playing for Aston Villa, so he doesn't actually know I've got a foot in both camps.
Well, that just says that you're old.
No, that says that, look, I'm trying to be balanced. And in a professional sense, I'm working hard to do that. But look, the end of the game was such a melee. Prince William is getting involved, suggesting that it should have been Buendia. Buendia's not even on the pitch when I actually make the announcement for man of the match. And by the way, at that stage, and statistically, Ødegaard was probably debatable the best player on the pitch. And Arsenal looked as if they were going to win that match.
Yeah, and football has its opinions, and everybody's entitled to theirs. Yours was that Martin Ødegaard was, up until that point, the most important player on the pitch. I think we gave it to Yuri Tielemans. I think
Tielemans was good.
He was excellent. Yeah. I thought every ball was a forward pass.
Morgan Rogers was good.
Morgan Rogers was very good as well. But obviously, it's going to spark debate. That's the whole idea of it, right? Because it's the start of a conversation. You might well award it, but everybody else has their view on it. Are you bothered at all by the fact that Martin's giving a comment on a game when he's slight more really associated with one club rather than the other? Because we have Jamie.
I'm not offended by it. I
Gary,
prefer
who's Man
objectivity.
United.
I prefer objectivity. I'm guilty of perhaps overcompensating at certain times when I know there's an allegiance test, whether it's my relationship with Steve Parish or my thoughts about Crystal Palace. I think there's a preference to see objectivity. I've criticised him before when he wrote this ridiculous article years ago, feigning no bias whatsoever and suggesting not one single Tottenham player would get in his Arsenal 11, and we've got the best player, the centre forward in the country.
It's becoming cheerish that you keep digging.
But I'm giving
I try to be professional in these situations.
No, but my view is, am I offended by it? Do I think he's biased? Yes. Do I think a lot of them have allegiances, have a partisanship? Yes, I do. Does it offend me massively? No. Should they seek to try and be a bit more objective? I think they probably should.
But I think the guys that I work with, they really do try to be objective. I think you do try, don't you? I mean, it might come through it.
They should try harder then.
Of course, because you know your audience and you know the balance that you need to have, but you have to say it as you think it. You can't, I'm not trying to. There were occasions, where my commentator next to me was suggesting that, okay, these were competitive challenges from the Villa players. Where actually,
don't start blaming the commentator.
No. Whereas when I said, "Oh, it's a foul," it's then a competitive challenge, and there's a nuance, there's a difference in the words that you use can trigger people back home listening, going, "Yeah, I knew it." When I said to you, when I hear Gary Neville talk about Manchester United,
Martin, I'm
not deflecting.
I've sat on the show for 3 years, and some of the old fanny that you've come out with, which is so biased and so lack of objectivity, is clear. And you've earned that reputation.
That's because you've always had
an agenda
against.
No, not at all.
No. Since we sat here and won radio programme of the year 3 out of 5 years,
indeed,
we have had this dialogue where I've tried to defend Arteta, and I think rightly so, because I felt that you guys were asking for him to be sacked very early on, and I think they're on the way. They're still top of the table.
I'm not
we
sure
don't actually get.
All that.
Well, the point is that I'd be defending, so it might look like I'm being biased, but I'm actually defending because I thought what he's doing is correct. Now, in the years when Arsenal weren't successful, I was giving it plenty about Arsenal, in the same way the Manchester United players do right now, and everyone feels, they're against the club, but they're just being honest. As I will be honest, if things do not work out for Arsenal.
I think you have a default setting, like a lot of people do, to sometimes defend the indefensible, and sometimes that leans towards conversations where you think that, say, for example, no one has an agenda.
So Arsenal being top of the table is indefensible, is it?
No, that's not the point I'm making. If you let me make the point, that you can refute it. No one is seeking to get Mikel Arteta fired. There was an observation made for me 3 or 4 years ago, was if he struggled in the games against Norwich and Burnley, I think it were, he might struggle to keep his job. And I'm worried that he's actually moving from a manager that had a lot of concept and a lot of reality and is turning into theory.
Well, maybe that was my. We should blame him. That was my. Trying to headline.
I don't think you should blame anybody. I think if you stand an argument up, you should be able to construct it and then be able to stand it up against criticism. Now, if you marked, for example, the argument about who should be man of the match, I think it's difficult to ascertain why a player that comes on for 15 minutes would be man of a match just because he scored the winning goal.
Prince William felt he should.
Well, that's fine, but Prince William is not an expert in football. The idea that you have marked a player, if you can stand up the reasons why you made Odegaard the best player on the pitch over the 95 or 96 minutes, then you should be able to stand it up to scrutiny and criticism. If it's not stand-upable, then your bias and objectivity comes into question. So for me, it's not difficult. People shout and scream. I watch it every day. And I said to you in a break, the reasons why I perhaps don't catch some of this fleck is because I'm disparaging of everybody rather than just an individual group. And Danny Murphy gets it. Every time he opens his mouth about Chelsea, he gets pummeled about his Liverpool bias. Every time he opens his mouth about Arsenal, he gets pummeled about his Arsenal bias. It's whether it's good broadcasting, whether it's engaging broadcasting, whether it's entertainment.
To spin that out, I actually feel I support Spurs, and if there's Spurs fans out there, more than any other pundit. And even now, Thomas Frank. Even now, I think Thomas Frank is not that far away in getting him into the Champions League. So I do try to be balanced. We are trying to be professional. I don't like the look of Gary Neville being a cheerleader. Whenever I listen to him on Sky, he looks like he's been moved away from those games now. And that's a better listen. But if Man United don't win a game, I don't want, and somebody else is very good in the match, I don't want to hear about the demise of Manchester United. I want to hear about what Man City, how well they've done to beat Manchester United.
I think Neville is a fabulous football commentator. I don't like some of the other stuff he comes.
I said I was wrestling with that. But I have the same issue.
Listen,
and I understand then why people feel it's
with him. I think he's an absolutely terrific co-commentator.
I'm not saying he isn't.
Carragher is as well.
I'm not saying
I think so too.
I'm not. But you cannot tell me that there isn't an element.
Whereas
of bias.
We're not so sure about.
And that's how people feel about me right now.
But at the same time, do you think Simon's biased because he thinks you're biased? Do you think he's ever biased?
No, I think he sees that it's a trigger point for me. Let's get into a lovely.
Oh, I think you flatter yourself. I don't think that at all, Martin. I don't sit there in the morning working out how long you've been haranguing Luke for 2.5 hours to get the schedule and work out how I can push your buttons. You don't need any help with that, mate.
It's interesting that Gabby Agbonlahor came on and said that
he
you
loved
were
it, wouldn't he?
biased, bearing in mind that he is the most biased. That's the Philip Wallace
I was
there
going to
is.
say.
He's not biased.
Pot and kettle.
Anyway, listen, I got no problem with it whatsoever. If we know who everyone supports, we know who they played for, we know that they've got a certain tendency. You factor that into your, as you're absorbing and receiving the messages. Largely, I think everybody does a very, very good job, and it's a lot harder than you think to be a coach.
Just a brown nose. You just want to say everyone's good at what they do.
As Martin told me a long time ago, it's a lot harder to be a co-commentator than anything else, he thinks, in the entire world, don't you? You think being a co-commentator, not my job, your job. You think it's the hardest
one. Right, to reflect. I think it's, in the moment, you can keep... I mean, I did the 5-4 game recently. Probably the only commentator on the planet was saying that maybe Fulham can get back into this. That's something you pride yourself on because you can see that maybe the...
They didn't, did they?
No,
they didn't, but they very nearly did, and they were dead and buried at 4-1, weren't they, or 5-2 or whatever it was. So you can see things that other people can't see, and that's what you wanted. You're doing the national team now. You're a proud man doing the national team, but you want to get that right. You want to get the ambience right. There's a feeling in the country. Are they doing well? Aren't they? And you want to get that right and reflect.
And what I don't want is Prince William tweeting any criticism of me.
I'm happy to discuss football with Prince William anytime.
Have you got a message for him? Have a look down the barrel of the camera and give him a message for me.
Prince William, sorry that I offended you, but I'm not going with Buendia. I know it was a really important goal, but I don't think that gave him enough really credence to be man of the match because he's only been on the pitch 7 minutes. As good a goal as it was.
Should he have said His Royal Highness there? I think he probably should have done, shouldn't he? His Royal Highness Prince of Wales, Prince William.
Probably Republican.
I'm surprised he wasn't. At the game, by the way. I thought he'd have gone to that match.
Are you calling out the future?
Well,
King
never
of
mind.
England?
Well, and has he picked the right team, Villa? I don't know. Let's see.
Wow.
Will they be champions this year?
He knows how to pick a fight, does Martin? 03717223344. If you want to text us, you can do. It's 81089. You can WhatsApp us as well. This is talkSPORT.
Pardew says Liverpool must fine Mo Salah for his comments. We understand Arne Slot has the board's full backing. Salah claimed they have no relationship and someone wants him out. But Alan Pardew says Slot's done nothing wrong.
And the spotlight is on you because you're such a big player. So he understands that. And to take you out of the team is actually opening himself up for criticism.
More of that on talkSPORT's daily podcast, out now. Inter vs Liverpool is live on talkSPORT tomorrow night, and Salah might not even make the trip. Meanwhile, despite his failed move to Liverpool this summer, Ollie Glasner's praised Mark Gay's loyalty and professionalism. Gay headed Palace into 4th place last night with a winner at Fulham. West Ham's draw at the Amex was hard to take for Nuno Espirito Santo. Brighton's Jorginho Ruta accidentally handled the ball, but not before immediately his 91st minute equaliser. Now, over-prepared for what? Aussie journalist Malcolm Conn reacts to Brendan McCullum's comments following another Ashes humbling for England.
Look, I hope they do enjoy Australia. I mean, the cricket's probably getting in the way. But I don't know how they can be over-prepared when they've played the way they've played.
2 down with 3 to play, and there's a full inquest on the talkSPORT Cricket YouTube channel. And Kevin Sinfield's told us he's not been in better shape since he finished playing. He's raised £1.15 million for motor neuron disease charities by completing 7 ultramarathons in 7 days. There's more on that at talksport.com.
Yeah, very good morning to you. It is Sam Matterface with Simon Jordan, Martin Keown. I'm delighted to say we've got Steve Harmison in the building as well. England have gone 2-0 down to Australia. I wonder whether or not we're heading for a Ashes series whitewash. It's been a little bit of a difficult watch so far, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has. I didn't think anybody could lose the Ashes quicker than Nasser Hussain did in 11 days in 2002-03, but I think Ben's going to be well on his way to do that. Adelaide is flatter. It's going to suit England's game a little bit more. The bounce of the ball is not as prominent as what it is at Perth or at Brisbane. So the likes of Crawley and Pope, who have been in trouble by driving on the up, all this stuff that's been sort of labelled at the top 6 batters, that won't be as challenging. But mentally coming back from this is going to take some doing. If anybody can, I think this team has proven that because they've lost games in such spectacular fashion before and bounced back, but not in Australia.
This spectacular fashion that England play in, the Bazball with the Stokes-McCullum era, has come under an enormous amount of scrutiny because ultimately, although it's been effective in certain parts of the world, it's been reckless, hasn't it, this time around?
Well, I think I've described them over the last sort of 48 hours that they're a good side and they'll never be a great side, because great sides, when they're put under pressure and when they're playing in the big series, India at home, Australia at home, India away, Australia away, they're the big series. Back in, the people have been criticising the likes of Sween Botham, the likes of Jeffrey Boycott, and people like that. When they were around, it was the West Indies. The Australia side wasn't as strong. So you're judged on what happens in the Ashes, you're judged on what happens against India if you want to be a great side. And England, so far against them sides, they've been in the series and then made monumental mistakes, spectacular losses, bounced back in the series, but ultimately never won the series. So that for me is why they're going to be a good side and not a great side. I love watching this team. I mean, from where England were before Ben took over and Brendan took over, England were in dark place. I think now they're more entertaining. They're more likeable characters. I mean, there's some of the nicest guys you'll meet, these players. But unfortunately, it doesn't look as though it's getting home when under pressure it doesn't seem as though they handle it. It's either hit out or get out. And unfortunately, the get out bit against, I'm not going to call them an average Australia side, but it's not a great Australia side. And that, for me, is what's disappointing me more than anything else. 2-0 down at this moment in time.
Do we take anything? I mean, most people forecast that the second test, because it's a pink ball test, that Australia would have the ability to win this game. And obviously we were talking about the fact that no one's lost a pink ball test when they've scored more than 260, besides the Australians against the West Indians in the first innings. Do we take anything from these games? Can we take anything? In the first test, it was the batsmen didn't do their job. In the second test, it's the bowlers haven't done job. We went into the second test with feeling that our bowlers have done a decent job. In the second test, our bowlers are coming under criticism. So it's both ends of the spectrum.
Yeah.
Do we take anything from these two tests?
And the fielding was bad.
The fielding was bad. And it comes back to, I mean, what Brendan said is just mind-boggling. It really is. I don't think England were prepared enough going into that first test match. And what happens is when you're not prepared, you're always playing catch-up. And all of a sudden, you know it's like when it go to like pre-season. If you miss a pre-season, all of a sudden, your player that misses the whole pre-season, you'll not see the best out of him until game 4, game 5.
But are they match ready now, though, having had this under their bonnet? I know they're
2-0 down. That's the problem, and this is the problem. But this is what I'm saying about
psychological challenge.
Your question you're asking, Simon, is, what do we take out of this? We take out of this that Archer's got 45 overs under his belt.
Yep.
Carter's got 45 overs under his belt. Will England pick them again for Adelaide? That would be the challenge. If they go Tongue and Potts in, all of a sudden we're back to square one and giving bowlers who haven't been prepared enough. So these is the challenges of the next sort of 10 days, getting that past them. But the one thing I will say about Ben Stokes, he looked not a broken man, he looked an upset man at the end of it. And that, for me, is something I've not seen in 3 and a bit years from Ben Stokes. So this is hurting him big time.
And that is something that he sort of came across like during the post-match press conference, more subdued than maybe usual, when he sort of almost questioned that the dressing room might be lacking character.
Saying that teams who come to Australia can't be, soft or weak, whatever it may be, because that's how it is out here. It is a tough place to come, but I see it as there's no room for that in a dressing room that I'm in charge of. Double-edged thing there. Can't come to Australia and be weak, but you also can't be in my dressing room if you are, and there is none of that. We pick people on ability and skill, but we also pick people on character and mentality. A few things that obviously need to be addressed when I think on that, but I know deep down that we've got characters who I know that can stand up to what we've got to do over the next 3 games.
A few things need to be addressed on that. What is he trying to say about the dressing room?
I think he's singling out 1 or 2 without actually mentioning their names. The end of day 2, Jofra Archer bowling 138, 139, and then bowling 150, 151, bowling 95 mile an hour at Steve Smith's head when the game's finished. Even Steve Smith, I don't know if you've seen the passage of play. Steve Smith, Archer bowled him a bouncer at 95 mile an hour. Smith hooked him and just turned around to him and said, "There's no point bowling fast when the game's done, champion." And that rattled Archer. Bang, in he came, 95 mile an hour. A lot of the commentators are going, "Oh, this is box office. Australia need 20 to win. Where was this on day 2?" I think that's what Ben's saying to his team. When the game and the big moments are in, go through the whole lot. England dropped 5 catches. When the game was tight, Smith took a great one-handed catch down. English run Stokes out on day 1. Alex Carey standing up the stumps. All these big moments that when you're fully tuned and you're doing the basics right and your team is prepared, ready for it, I think that's when you win the big moments. England dropped 5 catches, they're losing 2-0 in 6 days. And I think that's largely down to the way they've gone into this series. Did they think they were better than Australia? Did they go into this blasé and think we didn't have to do as much as we needed to do? All these questions.
Ben Stokes was saying they spent 4 years strategically planning every step of the way going into these tests. So what on earth happened in their preparation that they were so poor? Because they just don't look match ready.
The 4 years preparation, there's a lot happens in them 4 years. It's not as though you're just waiting to go. The pitches have changed in Australia. 4 years ago, pitches were flat. You needed fast bowlers. There was a great tweet from a guy who said England have got so much disregard, ECB have so much disregard of county cricket because somebody running up and bowling with a wicketkeeper stand up at 78 mile an hour, that's no good in Test cricket. Michael Neese has just done that and got 5 from blowing England away. I mean, Australia's pitches changed in two of the last 4 years to pitches that are doing a bit. So I think you've got to be fluid with them plans. England have gone there with a fast bowler and artillery and 7 batters who they've stuck with. And unfortunately, their bowlers weren't ready and had enough overs under their belt going into that first and second test. And their batters, unfortunately, on them wickets, have let Stokes and McCullum down because they've backed them. And unfortunately, they haven't performed. Simple as that.
Is there a case of maybe believing too much in the sort of their own philosophy of how to operate? Because Geoffrey Boycott, in the latest Telegraph column, it's Sir Geoffrey, said that Brisbane was a horror show, irresponsible batting, bowling too short, too wide or too full, catches dropped. The Australian team was there to be beaten, but somehow after just 6 days of Ashes cricket, it is all over and England need a miracle. England talk the talk but can't walk the walk. With this sort of batting and bowling, they couldn't win an egg cup, let alone the Ashes urn. Ben Stokes said England had a blueprint. They'd been planning this tour for 4 years and they know what they're doing. What a load of bull. We can't believe anything Ben or his team say. None of them want to listen to anyone outside of their own camp. They're up their own backsides, convinced that Test cricket has changed so much that they are the only ones that know anything about the modern game.
I don't think he's too, as much as me and Geoffrey have had our words in the past, a bit like you two.
Don't know what you're talking about.
I can't disagree with too much of what Geoffrey's saying there. I can't. You know, England have got a little bit of arrogance about them. Ben doesn't like them being called arrogant, but they have got some arrogance about them.
Have they convinced
this might be a wake-up call for them, because at the end of the day, what I think Ben and Brendan and Rob Key and the ECB, their outlook over planning, like Martin said, for 4 years, that press conference that we've just seen with Ben Stokes, that might be Ben thinking, right, we might not be as good as what we think we are.
But have they convinced themselves that the game has changed so fundamentally that they had to almost reinvent the wheel here? And then they've got to that point where they've realised actually it hasn't changed as much as we thought and we've gone too far.
There's a bit of both. There's a bit of two things in that, Sam. I think they had convinced themselves, but I think what they've done is
they've rode it back a little bit. Yeah.
What I think they've done is I think they've just not done the basics. And I think what you have to do in international sport is if you want to push your agenda, if you want to push your team and your persona and your arrogance or your confidence on a team, you have to earn the right to do that. And I think that comes down to basics, hard work, and making sure that all of a sudden you're putting the opposition under so much pressure that they're crack, then you go. I think England are missing steps 1, 2, and 3 and just going straight to 4 and 5. And I think that is fundamentally the problem with this team.
Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate that. Steve Harmison is part of our team throughout the course of the Ashes, and for all your Ashes content, you can subscribe to the talkSPORT Cricket YouTube channel and the following on podcast feed. We'll get the latest odds from BetMGM next.
So we are almost ready to go. Ian Danter here in the commentary box. It is all about whether Dean Saunders can retain the talkSPORT World Championship. To win the leg. She's got it! Gets it! Double nine! He refuses the handshake.
It's showtime on talkSPORT with BetMGM. Get ready for the golden era of sports betting. Visit betmgm.co.uk or download the app. 18 plus gambleaware.org.
Yes, it's time now to catch up with the latest odds, all thanks to BetMGM, and I'm delighted to say we are joined by Matt Gibson from BetMGM to look at today's top sporting events and discuss the latest odds. Hi, Matt. How are you?
Very good, fellas. How are you doing?
Yeah, very good. A busy old week with the Premier League probably just cramping up a little bit at the top end of the table. And I imagine with Aston Villa 3 points behind Arsenal, Manchester City now 2 points behind Arsenal, the odds have significantly changed.
Yeah, it's all very tight, isn't it? That Saturday early kickoff was it was certainly a good one for the neutral, but I think Villa have won nine of the last 10. For any Villa fans thinking about backing their team, if you backed them to win the league last Monday, they were 125 to 1. They've now been clipped right into 28. More interestingly, I think, well, more realistically, shall we say, their odds for top four position, they were 9 to 2 last Monday. They're now right in to 27 to 20. So the bookies certainly thinking Villa are the form horse in the division. Arsenal stretched a little bit centre back wise. Gyökeres didn't start despite being fit, so maybe questions around centre backs and centre forwards there. And then Manchester City had a potential banana skin on the hands, didn't they, with a high flying Sunderland, but 3-0 without Haaland being on the score sheet will certainly give them a lot of confidence. Again, outrights last Monday, Manchester City 3 to 1. They're right on the shoulder of the leaders now in it 7 to 4. Elsewhere, Sam, I think Chelsea stall had a pretty average week. Everton convincing win. I think they're 4 out of 5 in their last 5 fixtures. And Palace flying. Simon, I know you were at the Cottage yesterday, weren't you? Were you impressed with what you saw?
Yeah, I mean, I was unimpressed with certain players, but I thought Palace as a team were a good unit. I think the manager is such a key component of that football club and should be really protected going forward in terms of trying to keep him. I thought Guehi's a top quality player. No wonder Liverpool wanted him, and obviously I've thought that before I watched the game. But I thought Palace did well. I thought Nketiah played well and scored a good goal. And Fulham, to me, were a nice side without a lot of penetration. So I don't know what that says about Marco Silva's options and the way forward for him, because I like Silva. I think he's a good manager.
What makes me laugh about that is that Fulham have scored the same number of goals as Crystal Palace this season, but they've conceded double the amount, and Crystal Palace's defence has been absolutely stellar. It's the second best defence in the Premier League this campaign. And we mentioned Fulham, Matt.
Goalkeeper as well, by the way.
He's been brilliant. Go towards the bottom of the table, and I just wonder whether or not they might find themselves getting dragged into a relegation battle.
Yeah, I think it'll be... I'm hoping it'll be relatively tight and 3 or 4 sides don't get cut adrift, obviously, for personal interest.
Says the Leeds fan, who's had a good week.
Yeah,
you're supposed to be impartial, no?
No, I'm very, very much not, Martin.
He's taking a leaf out of your book, Martin.
Fulham are about 10s to go down. Not really a great deal of movement in their relegation odds through the week. Elsewhere, Wolves were pretty much saying are finished. 1-40 to get relegated now. Burnley also odds on 1-10. West Ham again odds against 41-50. Leeds at a lofty 2-1 to go down, and Forest 5's a little bit bigger than them. But down the bottom end of the Prem, much like the top, I think it'll be Wolves aside. I think it'll be very, very tight. Brentford are doing great. We play them next. Hopefully they get dragged into it. The more sides down the bottom struggling, Sam, for me, all the better, mate. We just don't want to get marooned.
What are you looking for, Leeds fans, for Burnley, Fulham next weekend? You looking for a draw there?
Yeah, 0-0 would be perfect, wouldn't it? I mean, from a bookie's perspective, we always like the draws, and from a Leeds fan perspective, no goals and a point each, cancel each other out. If we can go to Brentford, get something. And then we've just got the small amount of Crystal Palace after that. Ellen Road will be balancing after the week that we've had. So maybe every chance against Palace. Who knows?
You said you've written Wolverhampton Wanderers off in terms of surviving in the Premier League. 2 points from 14 games. Tonight they play Manchester United at Molineux, live on talkSPORT. Kick-off at 8 o'clock this evening. What chances do you give them against Ruben Amorim's team?
Not a great deal. I mean, the 21-5 to win the game, 13-4 the draw. United odds on at 8-13, and as a very not impartial Leeds fan, we'll be hoping our friends from Manchester that can keep Wolves down the bottom end, and hopefully they don't get on a roll and start picking up points and look over our shoulder at us. Wolves did the double over Man U last year. I don't think that's gonna happen this time around. I think Man U with a win can go, I think, level on points with Chelsea. Yeah, get some 25 points. So there's plenty in it for Amorim's team, and they've had a disappointing draw against West Ham on Thursday, I think it was. So they have to bounce back. You'd like to think that they'll go to Molineux and do the business, Sam.
And finally, before we let you go, Jimmy Pitts has sent a text message in. He says, what are the odds on Salah starting tomorrow night in the San Siro? Is there a market on that?
We don't have who's got to start. I mean, he was warming up for quite a while at Ellen Road, just in front of where I was sitting. But also,
and what were you saying, Matt? What were you saying?
I was saying he's a great bunch of lads, like all the Liverpool players are. But we've got markets on his next club as of the 3rd of Feb. I mean, he's still favourite to stay at Liverpool at 1-2. But any Saudi club is in there at 5-4. Any MLS club 11s, PSG, Bayern 14ish to try and capture Salah. But I think the presser and the sentiments around that thing after the game that he said, as well as a disappointing result, that really sort of soured the mood if you're a Scouser, or a Red Scouser, should I say. Appreciate
you coming on, Matt. Nice to speak to you. That was a look at the latest odds. Well, thanks to BetMGM. Visit betmgm.co.uk or download the app. 18+, begambleaway.org.
It's showtime on talkSPORT with BetMGM. Get things golden with responsible play at betmgm.co.uk. 18+, gambleaware.org.
talkSPORT Sports Update, powered by the Nissan Van range, helping business owners to work better and live better. Search Nissan Vans or head to your local Nissan Van centre.
With your headlines at 1 minute past 12, I'm Nick Ellaby. Good afternoon. Graham Souness has told talkSPORT Liverpool fans should be backing Arne Slot following those explosive comments from Mo Salah.
He doesn't deserve to be in the team. And the fact that he can actually stay and be quoted as saying he doesn't have to turn up every day and train properly because of what he's done in the past for that football club, it beggars belief in my book.
After Liverpool's draw at Leeds, Salah claimed the club have thrown him under the bus by dropping him. He's now arrived at Liverpool's training ground. They go to Inter in the Champions League live on talkSPORT tomorrow night. Here's our chief football correspondent, Alex Crook.
It wouldn't shock me at all if Salah not only doesn't travel to the San Siro, but is also left out of the weekend's upcoming Premier League game against Brighton.
There's more on this at talksport.com. Now, Joey Barton's been given a suspended prison sentence for sending 6 grossly offensive social media posts. They were about female football pundits Eni Aluko and Lucy Ward and TV presenter Jeremy Vine. Barton will be back in court if he commits another offence within 18 months. Administrators at Sheffield Wednesday have delayed announcing a preferred bidder. A number of interested parties are yet to prevent their final offer. Mike Tyson says his fight with Floyd Mayweather will be in March in Africa. And with England needing an Ashes miracle, Mark Butcher's told us there's not much hope of improving their flimsy batting.
They've really only got Jacob Bethel in the squad, who can potentially come in. Ollie Pope is generally the one in the firing line, and he might be again after his performance in that Test match.
The 22-year-old Bethel still doesn't have a first-class 100. There's more Ashes navel-gazing on talkSPORT's cricket YouTube channel and the following on podcast feed.
talkSPORT News.
The Tory leaders urging Labour to speed up an investigation into grooming gangs, and the Ukrainian president's being accused by Donald Trump of not being ready to sign a peace plan backed by America. More from the news team in half an hour.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. With a huge range of premium brands available, we've got what you need to drive away happy every time. Visit your local centre or quickfit.com and book today.
Wet across northern Scotland and southern England. Meanwhile, warnings for rain across southwest England and Wales kick in from 6 p.m. Cloudy elsewhere, turning increasingly mild from tonight.
Yes, talkSPORT. It's now Monday afternoon with Sam Matterface, Simon Jordan, and with Arsenal invincible Martin Keown as well. And just to let you know that Mo Salah not only has turned up for training today, he has taken part in training today. And Martin has been in the control room in the last few moments, and he's been analysing all the body language, haven't you?
Well, it doesn't look like he's been ostracised by the players, that's for sure. And it's interesting the manager has welcomed him back to the training pitch. So one assumes there must have been some clear-out discussions with the group this morning. But the players, they've achieved a lot together, so they're not going to dismiss him overnight. But I'm a little bit surprised that they've welcomed him back into the fold.
Remember, tomorrow night, Inter Milan against Liverpool is live on talkSPORT. Will Mo Salah start that match? He hasn't started any of the last 3. We'll find out when we bring you live commentary tomorrow night. We've got Wednesday night football for you, as well as Real Madrid take on Manchester City. Thursday night football for you, 2 from the Europa and Conference Leagues. All the football all the time. You know it makes sense. It's got to be talkSPORT. Martin from Blackwater says, are we not going to congratulate Lando Norris on his F1 Drivers' World Championships? Absolutely, we are. We're going to do it right now. We're going to speak to Piers Pryor, the motorsport commentator and driver, because British fans finally have got a man to hang their hats on again. F1's got a brand new world champion. It is Lando Norris, and he did so yesterday in spectacular, well, not necessarily spectacular side. It was quite tight towards the end. But afterwards, he spoke about his first title win.
Feels amazing, you know. Yeah, I now know what Max feels like a little bit, and I want to congratulate Max and Oscar, my 2 biggest competitors the whole season. It's been a pleasure to race against both of them. It's been an honor. I've learned a lot from both of them as well, so I've enjoyed it. It's been a long year, but we did it. We did it, and I'm so proud of everyone. It's been a long journey with McLaren. I've been with them for like 9 years. We've been through plenty of crazy difficult times and plenty of good times, you know. So for me to feel like I can bring something back to them, you know, it's their first drivers in many, many years. So I feel like I did my part for the team this year, and I'm very proud of myself for that. But I'm even more proud for everyone that I've hopefully made cry.
The 26-year-old becomes Britain's 11th world champion at F1. And Piers Pryor joins us now. How do you begin to sum up the achievement of Lando Norris?
He's had an amazing year, hasn't he? He's managed to put some of the doubters aside. There was people at the start of the year when he was making mistakes saying that he wasn't worthy world champion, but in the last few races, he's looked like he's absolutely had the bit between his teeth. And it's so cool as Brits to have another world champion. You mentioned it, 11th British world champion. There's only 35 world champion drivers in Formula One history over the years. So to put his name on that list is pretty cool. And with a British team as well in McLaren, he's, you know, it's really cool for us. In fact, quite funnily, I was at the Rotax World Karting Finals on Saturday in Bahrain, and 7 of the top 10 mini drivers between 10 and 13 years old were Brits. So I'm expecting with Lando Norris's championship now in Formula One, we may see even more Brits moving their way through the ladder and joining Formula One in the years to come, because that's the impact these drivers have. You know, they are role models for the future of the sport. But great story. You could see how magnanimous he was, you know, when I say magnanimous, he was very honourable in victory there, thanking everyone, and the emotion was clear to see.
When you look at Lando Norris as a driver, is he capable of building upon this and winning more world titles? We've had in the past Mansell, we've had Jenson Button, we've had Damon Hill, we had Hunt the Shunt in the 70s. They only won one world title. Is he capable to go on and win multiple world titles?
Do you know what? As with Formula One, the way it is, unfortunately, to a certain extent, it depends on the car. We've got a whole new change of regulations coming up the start of 2026. We've got a whole nother team joining, so 22 cars on the grid. The regulations, the engine changed, cars changed. It's going to be a whole shuffle of the grid, I reckon. But if McLaren are there, I think Lando will be able to build on this. He's really shown resilience this year, resilience that he potentially hasn't shown in his previous years up till now. I mean, you mentioned he's only 26 years old, so still got at least 10 years of his career if he continues to perform at a high level. And I think the final quarter of this season really showed the resilience he had, and maybe, as I mentioned, a trait that he hasn't shown before. And that's really important with motorsport being such a mental sport. It's all about executing under pressure, making no mistakes. He's really shown that he can do that, and if the car's there, he's going to be a championship contender next year. But don't count out Max Verstappen. He closed that gap from over 100 points behind at the mid-season down to 2 points, and then it was only 2 points that Norris won the championship by, getting third place. Max Verstappen won the race, but it was enough for Norris. So I'm hoping, praying as a Formula One fan, that we have a close fight next year, and who knows, maybe Lando could put his name on the list of multiple world champions.
2 of the top 3 in the Drivers' Championship are McLarens. What do you put their rise down to?
Do you know what? It's been really interesting to see McLaren's journey in Formula One over the previous, let's say, 10 years, taking us back to 2015. They were almost the laughing stock of the sport at one point, because championship pedigree, they won with Lewis Hamilton, they've won in many eras before, one of the most successful teams, but they've definitely went through a slump in the mid-teens of this century. But then they rebuilt, they rebranded, they have Zach Brown at the helm as CEO, and now Andrea Stella as the team principal. And I think that team has looked like it's going to be getting a championship eventually, or since sort of really the 20s. You know, they were quick in 2020, they were quick in 21, 22, 23, it was building, and then this is the crescendo where they've clearly had the best driver lineup, they've got the best team, they've got probably, arguably the best car. They won the Constructors' Championship weeks and weeks ago, and with the driver lineup they've got, there's no reason why they can't do it. McLaren, they look like they have fun, which I think is a big part of it. They take the racing seriously, but they're they enjoy their victories, and I'm sure the celebrations last night would have been pretty good to be part of.
What about Lewis Hamilton? What will he be thinking, having moved to Ferrari and finishing 6th and being pretty much way off the pace this year?
Oh God, I mean, talk about differences. You've got Lando Norris, you know, emotion clear to see, and jubilation, the celebrations with McLaren. But then on the other side, the most recent British world champion that isn't Lando Norris is Lewis Hamilton, and he's had a torrid season. He's genuinely looked down and out since about the summer break, and that's not something that Lewis Hamilton often has experienced in his career. He's had difficulties. He had times in the early teens where he had strings of bad results, question marks over his commitment to the sport. But then obviously we know that he went on a massive championship run, didn't he? He was dominant in the sport up until 2022, when of course then it's been Max Verstappen ever since. But honestly, every interview, he looks like he's not enjoying life. There was an interesting interview he did with Ted Kravitz where he opened up a little bit and said there needs to be changes, both behind the scenes in Ferrari, but also in his own team and people he works with, because he said this year has not been the way I want to operate. It's not been a performing year. He's been way off his teammate Charles Leclerc. Yeah, he's getting on a bit. He's in his 40s, but we've seen glimpses of the pace that he's had. You know, he won the sprint race in China earlier this year, but no race wins this season. Really disappointing year. He's going to have to bounce back, and he'll have to hope the Ferrari's good as well. But to a certain extent, there's not really much of an excuse when Charles Leclerc has been there or thereabouts. He was pushing for a podium this weekend, even in Abu Dhabi, when Lewis was out in Q1 in qualifying. So, yeah,
Pierce,
difficult times.
Open question. So, Christian Horner leaving Red Bull, did that seriously affect the Drivers' Championship with Hibbs' absence now? The status quo has now changed after their dominance. His departing would have affected that?
It's hard to say, because Formula One teams are such a large organisation. You know, I'm not into football as much as you guys are, but you've got the manager who very much figureheads and calls the shots, whereas a team principal in a Formula One team, there's 1,000 staff members that build and make the car and each of their departments has its own lead, and the team principal kind of just brings everyone together. So of course has an effect, but he's been replaced by Laurent Mekies, who's got experience in the Toro Rosso and has been in Formula One for many years. Very different character, less divisive, a lot more, I don't know what the word is. He's very more, brings people together. He's less combative, less confrontational. And it seems to be working because, as I mentioned, Max was able to bring the championship gap from over 100 points down to 2 at the last race and come this close to taking the championship. So who knows, maybe it's even for the better.
Pierce, thank you very much for joining us. Appreciate that. That's Pierce Pryor talking us through Lando Norris, who is the new world champion in Formula One. And McLaren CEO Zak Brown actually is coming into the studio tomorrow morning to join Jim and Simon. So make sure you join us for that. A little bit of breaking news. Reports doing the rounds this lunchtime that despite taking part in open training with Liverpool earlier on today, suggestions are that Mo Salah will not travel with the squad to San Siro tomorrow as Liverpool take on Inter Milan. More on that as we get it. This is talkSPORT.
almost ready to go. Ian Danter here in the commentary box. But it is all about whether Dean Saunders can retain the talkSPORT World Championship. To win the leg. She's got it! Gets it! Double nine! He refuses the handshake.
talkSPORT's FIFA World Cup 2026 draw review. Brought to you by the Mercedes-Benz Sprinter van. Score a great offer to your Sprinter 906 right now. Get a fixed price for the Mercedes-Benz Service B. Terms and conditions apply.
Hello, it's Sam Matterface with Martin Keown and Simon Jordan, and time for our review of last week's FIFA World Cup 2026 draw, brought to you by the Mercedes-Benz Sprinter van. And it was quite a it was quite a spectacle, wasn't it? Some might say it was a bit of a cringe fest. If you missed it, here's a little flavour.
I would like, with your collaboration, to show to these people from all over the world what they can expect when they come to North America next summer. So I will count 1, 2, 3, and then I want the Americans only to chant USA, USA, USA until I tell you to stop, okay? Only the Americans, right? So 1, 2, 3, USA! Okay, good, good, good. That's pretty good. We make this theater vibrate as a football stadium. Now the Canadians. Are you ready, Canadians? Canada, 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 right? The same, huh? Are you ready? 1, 2, 3. Good, good, good. Excellent, excellent. And now our Mexican friends. 1, 2, 3. México, México. Vamos. 1, 2, 3. Muy bien, muy bien. Thank you very much. This is what we want. We want to have fun. We want to enjoy the show. It will be absolutely fantastic. Thank you for coming. Take care.
That was Gianni Infantino, or Johnny, as he was affectionately named by Donald Trump, the President of the United States. I mean, in a world of sport being entertainment, and you subscribe to that quite a lot, Simon, that it is entertainment. Do we need to extend it to these big draw extravaganzas? Were they right to put on a big show?
Well, it's theatre, isn't it? I mean, it's the world's biggest sports tournament. It's in the most powerful nation in the world. It's got the most famous man on the planet that is the president of that country. All of those component parts. It's supersized me. The Americans do style over content a lot of the time. So why wouldn't we expect this to be the case? I'm not offended by it. I didn't expect anything less of it. I think it's ridiculous that FIFA get involved with peace awards and awarding it to Trump. But notwithstanding that, it is what it is. You know, the world of politics and sport intertwine, whether guys like me like it or not. I want to try and marginalise that as much as I possibly can. Infantino is a sycophant politician that creates outcomes. We still don't see any more transparency about the nature of FIFA. But will we have a spectacular World Cup? Put aside all the ideals about Trump saying it can't be played in this town and it can't be done in this particular way, and this for that and that for the other. Will we have a tournament that produces the best football? Debatable, because the nature of how many teams are in it and the construct of it might create some challenges around the quality of some of the games. But most importantly for us watching in this country, are we going to have an England team that can really punch its weight with a manager that's capable of delivering what the previous manager stuttered to be able to achieve, despite being in a position to be able to do so?
Martin?
Yeah, I mean, I looking at the draw, maybe it's just me and just feel that the Europeans in some way, the way they have to space out the draw, where South American countries are not allowed to play against one another. The Europeans,
that's a volume number, though, isn't it?
I know that we're trying to make it ever bigger, and it's 48 teams now. But we're playing Croatia, and it's ironical that they've won 7 matches and we've won 8, and we end up playing against a European nation locally that we probably shouldn't have to play. I don't understand. I know they weren't seeded, but nonetheless, I know you're looking at me positive.
Yeah, because
I don't quite
there's
understand
more
why.
European teams than there are South American teams, so they can play each other.
That's right. But what I'm saying is it really right and proper then that the best, Croatia have been alongside England the next best qualification record, and we've ended up playing them as our first match? I don't think that's quite right. I know that can't happen to the South American countries by virtue of the fact that there are not as many European nations as they are. They've extended it, and they've been gone from 13 to 16, and the South American teams have all increased. I'm all for that. We want the whole world playing in this World Cup, but the draw was so protracted. I didn't like it. It didn't really fit well with me. It's a shame we can't find another way to try and get some of these teams playing one another.
Jeff Stelling had a bit of a rant about it this morning, said that it went on for far too long. He was waiting for the draw, and he got to an hour and 15 minutes and still nothing had happened, so he just turned it off. But the fact is that when the draw eventually is done, England get Croatia, they get Panama, they get Ghana. They're going to play in Dallas at 9 o'clock BST, which is great for the British broadcasters, by the way. Yep. They've got some brilliant slots here. Yep. They've got the 9 p.m. slot twice, and then they've got a 10 p.m. slot when they go to New Jersey on the 27th of June.
Well, great.
It's for the TV broadcasters, that is absolute box office. There later on, as you go through the draw,
it's also better for us as well.
Not Dallas, but
not Dallas,
the other two.
Not Dallas, no.
Slightly better, yeah. But as you go through the draw, I think there's one game. If England, and there's loads of permutations, if England were to win their group, their potential route sees them go to Atalanta.
Wait, come on.
Listen,
if you're not winning this group, and Croatia are nowhere near the side that we played in 2018 when they were a formidable side. We've beaten them previously, in the European Championship, so we know that we're capable of beating the Croatians, and on paper we should do that, and I expect them to do so. We'll deal with the Panamanians. Come on, and Ghana. With all due respect,
I think Croatia, slightly different opening game in Dallas against a team that very wily,
it might be a draw.
Second best qualifiers, as you've already pointed out. Yeah, but England should be aiming to win the group, and I don't think that's. I mean, Luke, our producer, who's a bit of an agitator, and that's why he hasn't got too many friends. But
any friends,
sorry. He was saying it's English arrogance to suggest they're going to win the group. I don't think it is actually. Fans are allowed to speculate and be optimistic about their team, especially a team that have got to 2 European Championship finals
you have to say
in a row.
That. We
exactly.
I mean, ultimately,
you want to be a favourite.
You expect to win, and if you don't win, you should be accountable for it.
And
Simon, you're well travelled. What do you put on the temperatures that they're going to be playing in?
Well, let's talk about that because it's 9 p.m. at night for the first 3 games, 10 p.m. at night our time. But obviously it's 5-6 hours back, so you're talking middle of the afternoon, late afternoon. It is going to be very, very hot.
In New York.
The fourth game that they play, the last 32, is due to kick off at 5 o'clock BST, which means they'll be kicking off at midday. Yeah. So that is going to be very hot in Atalanta.
Well, I went to Boston with England in 93,
right,
where we didn't make the World Cup in 94. Some of the players were being attacked by mosquitoes, and it was like, I don't want to name names, but we weren't able to train with a full quartet because the conditions, and it was very humid, it was very hot. That's how I remember it as.
Is that
so let's not take it. Yeah? Let's not
eat
take
Marmite, you'll never get a mosquito bit in your life.
Brilliant, a bit of advice.
Yeah, but so maybe we shouldn't dismiss the weather conditions in Boston.
Well, when we went to Volgograd for the Tunisia game back in 2018, there was a swarm of mosquitoes all over the stadium. And that didn't distract England. It was they got the job done.
No,
in the end,
but if you get one player who's attacked, it's not a pretty sight.
Who was it?
I think it was Carlton Palmer that got attacked by mosquitoes, and he spent 2 days in bed.
Mexico City would be the last 16 venue. Yeah. Then Miami for possibly a game with Brazil. Atalanta.
Then you're battling the heat.
Atlanta again. And then New York for the final. So there's a lot. There is going to be very hot. It's going to be very hot, and that's why they want to go. But what the great thing is about the draw, I think, is that England get 17 days from the Champions League final to their first game.
Yeah,
and that's key.
Yeah,
because you don't want to be in a situation where you're starting within a week of the Champions League final.
Yeah, but then condense that to the rest of the tournament. Then, so how many weeks have England got to become world champions in? So what week? So the final is what date?
So they have 5 weeks instead of
5
5
weeks.
and a half, yeah.
Okay, well, they've still got to be out there, though. They've still got to be in wherever
they're going to go for 9 days.
That's the major disadvantage. It's always been factored into people's thinking as the reason why England may not win this World Cup. Not just because there are better sides, because the reason why we brought Tuchel in was to be able to remove ourselves past that hoodoo where we cannot beat sides on paper that we potentially aren't favourites to beat. That's the Tuchel effect. That's the point where Gareth Southgate came up short. Did lots of good things. Let's not spend our time dwelling on what he didn't do. But the thing is that Tuchel's been brought in to do something different. The battle that you've got with the climate, well, that's about preparation. And that's about ensuring that the way that you play football enables you to be able to participate against some South American sides that are used to this kind of climate.
England media and pundits already predicting their route to the final. It's coming home. Will soon be plastered everywhere. It's unreal arrogance, as always, says one text. It's not. I'm sorry. I'm not.
Is that Jim
believing it to be arrogant at all. I think actually what fans do is they look at the best case scenario and they use the information that's given to them. England are seeded. The reason they're seeded is because it's believed that they are one of the best teams in the world by the world rankings. So they're expected to win their group, and that means that they'll have a certain route through to the final.
Demand it. I think it's right to demand and have a level of expectation of your nation when your dominant sport in this country is football. When your league is perceived, albeit it's made up with predominantly foreign owners and foreign players, that it's the best league in the world. You expect, and you hear your players and what they are rewarded and where they're playing in the world. You expect the English team, irrespective in the past when we haven't qualified, you expect this English team to punch its weight, and it's not arrogance, it's a belief.
Competition football wasn't it set out by the FA Cup? We were the Challenge Cup was first and foremost here in this country in England. So we're competition football. Why not?
The manager said he wants to add a second star to the jersey. There's intent.
That's his job. That's what he's been brought for. Yeah. Anything other than that can't be considered a success, can it? Unless, of course, you get to a World Cup final and concede a 94th minute penalty and go out on that basis. Other than that, Thomas Tuchel hasn't been brought in to maintain the status quo. He hasn't been brought in to continue this path of we get there, we have a good width of it, but we don't get the bite. We are here now in this tournament, surely with Thomas Tuchel, to win it.
And was it always going to be the Trump show? What did you feel about the YMCA performance at the end? Did you enjoy that?
Well, I don't enjoy it.
It seemed tongue in cheek, didn't it? I don't know whether it was a step too far. Does it kind of make a mockery, a bit of fun? They started off by calling football soccer, and it's like, well, no, it is football.
Well, they were in America, that's what they call it.
Yeah, but we don't, do we? We don't call it in...
It wasn't just for you. It was a World Cup.
Who invented it? It's not rugger, is it? It's rugby.
There's an argument that
so it's not soccer,
football.
It's football.
You look back into the history of the construct of football, actually, potentially the Chinese invented it. Right. But the fact of the matter is that it's in the country. Trump got this World Cup in his first tenure. The reason why he got it is because he promised FIFA that they'd generate $15 billion out of this game. The arguments that are being raged by journalists like Harry Harris about the price of football, which is the despicable way of operating, and it's now pricing out the fans, is a different discussion. But what you've got is the most commercial nation in the world commercialising the sport. Why would you be surprised? And Trump is the biggest noise in the world. There cannot be any broadcaster that doesn't feature some of its content without Donald Trump being part of it, whether it's a news channel or a sports channel. So don't be surprised when he occupies centre stage. He did it at the World Club Championships. He's going to do it in this World Cup. All we want as a sports station is the football, and the show itself merits the billing.
Let's hope the final this year, unlike the Club World Cup, doesn't have some sort of show on, for another 20 minutes, and we get an extra.
But they're going to. But they're going to. They had a show in Qatar.
The Club World Cup.
The difference is the BBC chose not to show it.
Yeah, but didn't we have an extended half-time break? Was that not a disgrace?
PSG needed it.
No, I think the rule book tells you can't have a break but longer than 15 minutes.
Well, that's up to FIFA to enforce, isn't it?
Well, FIFA
but they write their own rules, don't they?
Yes, they do. Competition rules decided that they were going to have a longer half-time break to have a half-time show.
Yeah.
Did you not enjoy that either?
Didn't enjoy the half-time show. I wanted the normal.
Well, there is an element of Martin's right. The orthodoxy of that is that what are we doing here? Are we creating entertainment so we can show pop stars, or are we creating a football match?
If someone's paid £40,000 for a ticket, which is some of the going rate for the final, then they get the whole day experience. Maybe
you just want to get a half-time pie, don't you? So you get a bit longer from your commentary position. That's what you want.
Pie?
I don't want a pie.
I want a hot dog.
I was going to say, yeah, a massive, great big hot dog. A couple of those.
Watch that, Sam.
What do you mean?
Well, just you've got to keep yourself physically.
Do you know what? I think I've done quite. I've taken a league out of your book and gone on the old 10k run in order to lose a few pounds. Don't worry about that. I would go through some of the text messages. We've got quite a few accusing us of being arrogant about England. Honestly, I don't believe that is the case.
Of jocks?
I don't know who it is, but I'm just because there's quite a few of them just sort of suggesting what do you base it on.
Ask the Scots now if they think
England
they're going to
didn't just sort of beat minnows in qualifying, but everybody does because that's the way the qualifying works.
They did.
But they're seeded because of the fact that they got to 2 finals, and they are one of the better teams. They did lose. That's right. That's why they're only 4th seeds, not first. That's our review of the FIFA World Cup draw of 2026, brought to you by Mercedes Sprinter Van, driving businesses forward for 30 years. Sorry, Luke. I know we went on.
talkSPORT's FIFA World Cup 2026 draw review, brought to you by the Mercedes-Benz Sprinter Van. Score a great offer to your Sprinter 906 right now. Get a fixed price for the Mercedes-Benz Service B. Terms and conditions apply.
Pardew says Liverpool must fine Mo Salah for his comments. We understand Arne Slot has the board's full backing. Salah claimed they have no relationship and someone wants him out. But Alan Pardew says Slot's done nothing wrong.
And the spotlight is on you because you're such a big player. So he understands that, and to take you out of the team is actually opening himself up for criticism.
More of that on talkSPORT's daily podcast, out now. Inter vs Liverpool is live on talkSPORT tomorrow night, and Salah might not even make the trip. Meanwhile, despite his failed move to Liverpool this summer, Ollie Glasner's praised Mark Gay's loyalty and professionalism. Gay headed Palace into 4th place last night with a winner at Fulham. West Ham's draw at the Amex was hard to take for Nuno Espirito Santo. Brighton's Jorginho Ruta accidentally handled the ball, but not before immediately his 91st minute equaliser. Now, over-prepared for what? Aussie journalist Malcolm Conn reacts to Brendan McCullum's comments following another Ashes humbling for England.
Look, I hope they do enjoy Australia. I mean, the cricket's probably getting in the way. But I don't know how they can be over-prepared when they've played the way they've played.
2 down with 3 to play, and there's a full inquest on the talkSPORT Cricket YouTube channel. And Kevin Sinfield's told us he's not been in better shape since he finished playing. He's raised £1.15 million for motor neuron disease charities by completing 7 ultramarathons in 7 days. There's more on that at talksport.com.
The talkSPORT Darts Trophy is back this Wednesday in partnership with QuickFit. World champion Luke Littler has pulled out the names of the hats. The draw is now confirmed, and Dean, the storyteller Saunders, will take on Jermaine, the Saint Pennant. Gabby, the Gab Father Agbonlahor, will take on Andy Gale Force Goldstein. Jamie, the Chunk O'Hara, will take on Jason One Ball Cundy. And Darren, the Truth Bent, takes on Natalie, the Destroyer Sawyer. And all the action is available this Wednesday in H&J from 1 o'clock, with the final in Drive from 4.
Did they actually finish on a double this year?
All thanks to our fits at QuickFit. I'm not sure. I don't know what the rules are. I haven't looked into it yet, but I very much...
Benty won't freeze like he did last time.
Well, he did, didn't he, last time? After getting a professional coach.
I was watching him in the green room. He could play a little bit, but when he actually came to delivering, apparently...
How come we're not invited to take part in this? Never have been.
Well,
what's all that about?
I think you're probably
this
not
slot.
very good at darts, or...
Who knows? If you need to be asked that question first, don't you, to get the answer to
I was invited.
Well, I wasn't.
Well, I was.
I figure maybe they thought you were going to be biased.
Well,
about
just
your
putting it out
commentary
there.
on
Just putting it out there. It's a shame I have to communicate on the radio to my boss, isn't it? A bit like Mo Salah.
Are you feel like you've been thrown under the bus?
I'm just throwing my darts out, to be fair.
Of the pram?
The cot.
Yeah? All right, okay. Well, you can tune in and watch the whole thing, minus Martin Keown, live on talkSPORT's YouTube channel this week. Let's talk a little bit about the situation in Scotland, because I wonder whether or not the decision to wave goodbye to Martin O'Neill at this particular juncture of the season was a good idea or not. Did it backfire on the Celtic board? They appointed Wilfried Nancy. He lost his first game in charge because he took charge just a couple of days before the game against Hearts, which was a top-of-the-table clash, and Hearts re-injected life back into their recent faltering title bid with a 2-1 win at Celtic Park. Bill Leckie, the Scottish football journalist, joins us now. Always good to hear from Bill. Hi, Bill.
Hi, Sam. How are you doing?
Yeah, great to hear from you. It wasn't the kind of debut that Wilfried Nancy had been dreaming of.
No, it wasn't. Celtic were terrible. However, Hearts were absolutely magnificent. They did everything right. They schooled Celtic on the day, fully deserved it. For me, Wilfried Nancy was very like Ruben Amorim when he arrived at Manchester United. I have a plan. It's a wonderful plan, and I'm going to shoehorn it into this team, even if the players aren't there to do it. So he played a back three with 3 left-sided players, and that didn't work for the start. The whole thing was unbalanced, and it all became very confusing, I think, for the players, for the fans, for everybody, and Hearts took advantage big time.
Yeah, it's great for Hearts as well, because as much as we talk about Wilfried Nancy, we should talk about Derek McInnes and what he has done over the course of the season and the ownership group there. But let's hear from Wilfried Nancy post-match and what he said about his defeat.
We prepared the game in a good way. It was not easy for the players. Obviously, this is my job, but it was not easy for the players. And honestly, I have to say that they were really, really good with that. Now, obviously, disappointed by the fact that we could have done better. But again, they did really good stuff at certain moments. Yes, we had the possession. But again, the possession for me is we attacked the box, but we didn't attack the box really with numbers and with to disrupt a little bit more all the players behind the ball.
Should they have waited a little bit longer to appoint him, do you think, Bill?
They waited far too long to appoint him, Sam. It took something like 40 days. And there was constantly this little bit of paperwork that was to be signed that wasn't signed. Martin O'Neill was left out front to kind of do his Martin O'Neill spiel and get them through it and saying, "Oh, I've hidden the paperwork, ha ha ha." But the whole thing was never quite explained. And eventually it turns up in a week when they've got Hearts on Sunday, Roma on Thursday, and then the League Cup final against St Mirren on Sunday. So he couldn't have been thrown into a much more challenging week. And difficult for the boy, very difficult. But I think he made it more difficult for himself by tinkering with something that was working. Martin O'Neill had just got them working again, and then he broke them. So
do you think
whose fault?
Just when you come in as a new manager, it looks to me as if he changed the system. So they've been playing a back four.
Oh, very much. Yes, they've always.
You can only be wrong if you make that change. I'm actually surprised that Martin O'Neill wasn't kept closer to the action. You know, I saw that he was working on TV at the weekend, but I couldn't believe it. I thought maybe they'd keep him in the building because it's quite unsettling for the players. Certainly, this is a huge game, isn't it? A massive impact on who's going to win the championship this year.
Yes, absolutely. And you tell me, Martin, you're a top class centre half. If you were told you're going to play in a back three and you were all kicking with the same foot, it's not going to make it an easy start to the game. You know, in terms of bringing the ball out from the back. And he wanted to bring his two outside centre halves to bring the ball out from the back, which is fine if you're Keown Tierney on the left side, not fine if you're Austin Trusty on the right side playing with your left foot. I thought the whole thing, and he had this little tactics board with magnetic men on it, and the cameras kept catching them shifting these wee magnetic circles about, and he was calling Callum McGregor, the captain, over 2-3 times and shuffling the little men about and showing them what to do and then sending them back in like he was making in-game changes to Football Manager or something.
I think the clever thing to do, and I've seen it at first hand, when Arsene Wenger first came into Arsenal, we were playing a back five. He didn't want to play a five. He wanted to play a four. He waited a whole 12 months to change it because he said, "Okay, look, I've inherited this, and you guys are on trial. Not me." But as soon as you make the change, the focus is on you. And I think that's the problem here. He should have left it in situ. They were familiar with that system. They'd won well under Martin.
100%.
And to make those changes makes it about him. And then you lose the players a little bit. So he's got some work to do there.
You were a little bit underwhelmed by his appointment anyway, weren't you?
I mean, statistically, I didn't watch the game because I was obviously at the Palace game. But I was surprised to see the result. When you look at the statistics, it tells you that despite the Bill's observations about how poorly they played, they had 72% possession and 15 shots on goal. So it can't have been that bad. But how do you feel? I mean, I watched when I saw the outtakes of him sitting there with a magnetic board and playing battleships, it looked like to me. It creates that narrative of somebody that's managed in the MLS. I was underwhelmed by the appointment, despite the best protestations of Nigel Reo-Coker and his obviously well-seeded understanding of football management, that he was going to be an absolute success in Scotland. Does this give you cause for concern about Celtic's decision, this tinkering, this changing, and this now representation of him, where the media are focusing on this board like they did with Bob Bradley or whoever else was American coaches that were predecessors, Jesse Marsh or whatever else?
I'm not really bothered whether Celtic make the right decision or not being a Celtic man. I hope my team beat them in the cup final next week. But from your point of view, what you're saying there, Simon, I think it's a massive leap for the guy. No matter how good a coach he is, there is, and I've said this a few times recently about Rangers as well, there's an attitude that when you come into Scotland, it's going to be easy. And it's maybe easy in terms of you might have better ideas and you might have more quality ideas than some of the people have here. But the intensity swallows people up, and the intensity Hearts played with, on top of the intensity of the Celtic crowd who are getting more and more fed up, it's very easy for a good coach to get lost. And so no matter how good Wilfred Nancy is, he has to deal with that thing on top of it all. And it's not easy. It's not easy. And I think yesterday he looked like a man who was a little bit lost after 90 minutes in Scottish football. And he's going to have to recover very quickly.
I was going to say he's going to have to find himself very quickly because he's got some big games coming up, and none least against St Mirren in the Scottish League Cup final, which is upcoming next weekend. Bill, we have to go, but just very quickly, if you give me 10 seconds on Derek McInnes and the job he's done at Hearts.
Perfect man for the job, doing a magnificent job, getting the best out of the players he has, and they've made great signings. And the Hearts fans are singing his name and Tony Bloom's name. So that's a rarity in football, isn't it?
It certainly is. Thank you very much, Bill Leckie, who joins us to talk about Celtic and Hearts yesterday, a top of the table clash, which saw Hearts win the game and head back to the top of the table. They opened up a 3-point gap on Celtic, although Celtic do have a game in hand. This is talkSPORT with Sam Matterface, Simon Jordan and Martin Keown. We're here with Selco Builders Warehouse. Check out this month's real deals at selcobw.com.
So, we are almost ready to go. Ian Danter here in the commentary box. It is all about whether Dean Saunders can retain the talkSPORT World Championship. To win the leg. She's got it! Gets it! Double nine! He refuses the handshake.
Well, talkSPORT has teamed up with Pitch Experiences to bring you an all-out VIP experience at the PDC World Darts Championship at Alexandra Palace on the 23rd of December. You and three mates could be living it large with platinum seats, fine dining, a complimentary bar, and exclusive access to the 501 Lounge with Russ the Voice Bray. Then it's straight to your prime table for the best view in the house as the darts drama unfolds. Get ready for an unforgettable Ali Pali Christmas, and here is how to enter. For your chance to win, text DARTS to 83338. Text costs £2 plus your standard network rate, or call 0343 421 7508. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 18th of December. That's when you'll need to answer your phone if the phone rings. 18 plus and UK residents only. So for your chance to win this brilliant prize, it's darts to 83338 now. That's a network promotion. Full T's and C's are available and they're at talksport.com. It is talkSPORT, and tonight we've got live commentary of Wolverhampton Wanderers against Manchester United. Kicks off at 8 o'clock. Wolves are yet to win a game this season. Have they got any chance against Manchester United, Martin Keown?
Well, I mean, when you've come from, 12 defeats now and no wins, I've not really seen too much in the last number of games the new manager's been in, Rob Edwards, since he's been there.
They were competitive against Villa, weren't they? But they didn't really look as if they were going to score as well.
But I think that's maybe the next step for Villa. When Villa have to go and take a team on that's not really coming at them, that's when they need to find solutions to break teams down. Not to have a go at Villa, and people see it that way. I just think that's the next step for Villa. And Wolves competed in that game for quite a long period, but they were always going to win that game, Villa. So Wolves, obviously Manchester United is a game now where you think you can get maybe something from it. I still don't think Wolves will secure their Premier League status this season. I don't think it's possible. And as I say, I don't think the calibre of player now. Too many players have been allowed to leave successively in the last 18 months. And the manager, as we say, has walked into a really difficult situation. I don't see them turning it round. But look, if they can get something against Manchester United, they're on 2 points at the moment. They're 8 points from Burnley, who are in trouble themselves. So it looks as if statistically they're not going to make it.
Is the angst and clamouring around Kobbie Mainoo justified, or is it merely heightened because he's an England international and an academy graduate? He remains without a Premier League start all season. He was left on the bench against West Ham United. Remember, this is a guy who scored in the FA Cup final and played all of the games at Euro 2024 pretty much. Much of Amorim's pre-match press conference saw him field questions around the midfielder's continued omission.
I just want to win. I try to put the players. I don't look who it is. I don't care about that. I just trying to put the best players on the pitch. My job is to answer, but I'm trying to answer always the same thing. And you ask me always the same thing. I understand what you are saying. You love Kobbie. He starts for England, but that doesn't mean that I need to put Kobbie when I feel that I shouldn't put Kobbie, so it's my decision.
For all you say about the academy, that you don't actually trust the academy.
Why?
Because you never pick any players.
Any players we have Kobbie Mainoo.
Well, Lacey.
But Lacey in difficult situations. And Lacey, sometimes when Brian is not there, I put Ahmad because I have other wing backs to play, and sometimes it's hard. So you are asking me why I don't put Lacey to play when I have other guys that are international and also they are in the bench. So I try to put the best guys, the prepared guys for this moment of the club and try to win a game. That's the only thing, guys.
That was Ruben Amorim. He was talking about Shea Lacey towards the end, who's a teenage winger who came through the academy, who's been on the bench a couple of times in the last few weeks but hasn't made it yet on to the pitch. Paul Scholes particularly unhappy about Mainoo not being in the side, saying the kid is being ruined, not being played in a team that can't control a game of football, hates seeing homegrown players leave, but it's probably best for him. Enough is enough. What is it about Kobbie Mainoo that Ruben Amorim doesn't like, do we think?
Martin might be better equipped to answer that. I mean, he's got to build his own team the way he wants to build it. I mean, obviously, Paul's wonderful stint at management in Oldham will give him a credential to be able to assess what should be managed at Man United. There's clearly a reason why Ruben Amorim doesn't want to play him. I think Kobbie Mainoo is not as good a player as people think he is. They've built him up into being something. Of course, when someone isn't there, people want to attack what you haven't put in there. I mean, if Man United beat Wolves today, where do they go in the league? Fifth?
That is the situation, isn't it? You know, the Manchester United actually, and Liverpool as well, they're actually closer to the top end of the table because it's so congested than actually you'd think, because it's so competitive in that middle sort of area of the Premier League at the moment. But what do you see in Mainoo that he could bring to this team?
I think maybe he's the one that suffers the most with this change of system and this sort of dogged approach from the manager of non-flexibility, has to be a back three, has to have two midfield players. Okay, Casemiro is in there. It seems a big ask for him. It seems to be the problem for them, and he doesn't want to put the young kid in. I know that Ugarte doesn't play either, and he's international. I see the argument, but I think if you're a player that's come through the ranks and you want to see, and I think he was playing very well before this manager came to the club, and he's sort of stunted his growth. He doesn't seem to love the player or be giving him the opportunity.
Do you think isn't anything the player's doing? Is it? I mean, ultimately, I remember Souness talking about Mainoo and didn't think he quite knew his job, and made observations about how Mainoo was running around doing things that he shouldn't be doing on a field that a central midfield player shouldn't be doing. But that might just be the impetuosity of youth. Is there anything in the makeup of this player that might be in being the architect of his own downfall? I think he's been a little bit clever about some of the opportunities he thinks he hasn't gotten himself.
But maybe they look at the stats. They think he's not able to get up and down the pitch, but it's what he does on the ball. It's how effective he is. What can he create? And I think that needs to be looked at. And as I say, if this system, if they had a third midfield player, they might actually play better.
OK, well, we'll find out whether or not they play well tonight, because we've got the game live on talkSPORT, 8 o'clock, Wolves against Manchester United. Tomorrow night, Inter Milan against Liverpool. And the breaking news that we brought you in the last hour was that Mo Salah, after training today with Liverpool, is not expected to be in the squad that goes to the San Siro for that game. We'll try and put a bit of flesh on that throughout the course of the afternoon on talkSPORT. And the boys are next.